For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. health regulators on Thursday cleared the way for a type of genetically engineered Atlantic salmon to be farmed for human consumption, the first such approval for an animal whose DNA has been scientifically modified. 5 years ago, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration first declared the product, made by Massachusetts-based Aqua Bounty Technologies, to be as safe as conventional farm-raised Atlantic salmon. The FDA said on Thursday that Aqua Bounty's product will not require special labeling because it is nutritionally equivalent to conventional farm-raised Atlantic salmon. Aqua Bounty developed the salmon by altering its genes so that it would grow faster than traditional farm-raised salmon and expects it to take about 2 years to reach consumers' plates as it works out distribution. The fish is essentially Atlantic salmon with Pacific salmon genes for faster growing and a gene from the eel-like ocean pout that promotes year-round growth. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Thomas the Tank Engine says he's a little uneasy with his broad autistic following, and a couple has a nest egg of debt to make sure they've got some money to owe down the road. This is the Onion Week in Review. Local video editor James Korf told reporters Wednesday that despite having said goodbye over 10 minutes ago, his friend, Michael Woodward, still remained active on GChat and had shown no signs of leaving.
If it were yellow, it would mean that he hasn't been on the computer for a little while, or if it was red, it would mean he doesn't want to talk, but it's green. I can tell. I can see it right there.
Korf later said that he felt briefly relieved when Woodward's chat logo turned orange, but was once again dejected when it became green within seconds. And in this week's op-ed pages, a high school guidance counselor laments the fact that no one in his entire damn school has been molested. In other news, a bedbug feels bad for an area man, but a bug's gotta eat. A development exec wants to see what, where, and how that would look, live, and play out, and a man at the gym is just watching TV. For more, visit theonion.com/newsbeat.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us here. We'll give you our toll-free numbers and the Skype username for you in moments. And as always, you can bring up whatever happens to be on your mind. And, of course, we bring things to the table to discuss. The we in the studio tonight, including me, Ian.
James.
And TJ the Spy.
And so, of course, we'll get to you about whatever happens to be on your mind. But there's some transportation-related news here tonight. Personal transportation. Specifically, these things called hoverboards. Now,
oh, yeah, this is real awesome.
I had not seen this yet until the news story that New York City apparently is now banning these hoverboards. So this news about them being banned was the first time I've ever heard about them. But apparently it's some sort of a variant on like the Segway, which years ago, I don't know, the Segway is like probably a decade old now at this point. But the Segway was that two-wheeled device with like a little platform on it and a big pole coming up the top with some handles.
Yep, and you lean forward. And so this is like a Segway without the pole. So you stand on it. It looks like a skateboard, and you lean forward, and it takes you and has like two little blue lights on the bottom.
It looks a little smaller, though. I mean, the Segway form factor...
Yeah, Segway has big wheels on the side, right, and a big pole up the center that you hold on to. And the hoverboards, they just don't have the pole, and they're a lot smaller. But a lot of people are using them to get around campus or get around cities. They can go up like 10 miles an hour, and
that's convenient.
And they're a lot smaller than a bicycle. You can just put them in your backpack.
Wow. All right.
Yeah. So according to CNN, it says the motorized self-balancing scooters are illegal, according to the New York City Police Department and New York State Department of Motor Vehicles. And you got to love the legalese. The gadgets are considered, quote, electronic personal assistive mobility devices. They are not considered motor vehicles, so they cannot be registered, a DMV spokeswoman told CNN Money.
So they're saying it's like a wheelchair, and because you can't register a wheelchair as a motorized vehicle, well, so now they said it's going to be a $200 fine. And I thought, well, couldn't that just be viewed as like a $200 permission fee? Like, what if you were willing to pay the $200 fine each time?
Every time you get caught.
Well, so I mean, like, that's a lot of people in New York City. They park illegally. Like a delivery driver knows that. They park illegally. They know they're going to get like a $50 ticket once or twice a day, and they just factor that into the cost of doing business. So they'll tell the business, if you want your stuff delivered, pay the tickets.
So because it's not considered a motor vehicle in that it does not have a combustion-based device, a motor device in it, right? It's an electric vehicle or an electric propulsion device. Or
I don't know, Ian. It's New York City. Nothing they do makes sense.
Well, I mean, I think it is funny, right? All these legal categories. Some lawyers or whoever were sitting around trying to decide how to categorize these things, and they came up with that definition.
I suspect here in Keene they'd be illegal because I think the ordinance is anything with, I think it's 2 or more wheels. You can't ride on the sidewalk unless it's a wheelchair.
Yeah. Well, now, okay, so is this saying they are not allowed anywhere in New York City or only on the roads?
I don't know. I mean, like, I was just reading, like, what I find fascinating are people's reactions. So people like Marcos Avila, this is from the New York Daily News, people like Marcos Avila, 32, from Jackson Heights, decided to ditch bikes, subways, and buses for the hoverboard when he first spotted them this spring.
Okay.
Now he's worried he'll have to return to travel as usual. Now, this is what gets me. It's really going to disrupt my life, Avila 32 told the Daily News. That was my go-to device. Now, people here in Keene, we would be like, oh, no. You are not taking away my hoverboard. In fact, we are deliberately, now that you're telling it's illegal, we're going to go out of our way to break the law and do it. And people in New York City are like, oh, well, if the government tells us not to do it, we're not going to do it. And that's a little concerning to me.
Sorry.
No, go right ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, James, you were talking about how you think they'd be illegal here. It would be interesting to look at the code in Keene, the municipal code, and see if they specify bicycle, skateboard, or like two-wheeled devices in their code.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Like when we were in Hawaii, it's like no bicycling is allowed on the sidewalks of Waikiki Beach.
Yeah.
So we could always identify the cops on bicycles because they would be the only ones riding on the sidewalk. So we thought that was kind of funny. It's like if you wanted to spot a cop on a bicycle, just look for something on the sidewalk because those are the only people who would do it.
Now, here's another great thing. So this New York Police Department, they initially did a tweet, and then they deleted it because they specified the wrong code. So the code that they said it fall under was 19-176.2, but there's like an exemption, so the hoverboards would be exempt. But now they're saying
they found another one that they think applies.
Exactly. So now
we want this to be illegal, and now we've dug around enough to where we found an ordinance in the tomes and tomes of New York City code that has made it illegal. I wonder, you were TJ, when you were in Hawaii, you actually were looking through the government's municipal
this is
codes.
how you know you're a libertarian, when you're like going through and like the revised ordinance of Honolulu. I stopped, it got around a little over 1,200 pages.
I don't think even most libertarians would do that as a hobby.
Well, I don't know, but okay, as a somewhat of a legal nerd,
legal geek,
we were like saying like just the idiosyncrasies and the absurdity and the pure arrogance of a government to say what you can and can't do. So, for example, in Hawaii, you cannot sell leis. In Honolulu, Hawaii in particular, you are not allowed to sell leis if you are under the age of 15.
And by that, you mean the flowers?
The flower garment things that they put around you, like the flower necklaces.
There's probably other leis that are illegal to sell.
I'm sure there. But, I mean, you are allowed to sell leis if you're 15 or over. And you have to sell them within 2 feet of the pier. So the ordinance actually says you have to have one on one side, one on the other, and they have to alternate sides, the vendors do.
Huh.
And at the head of the line, the person closest to the pier, they are not allowed to occupy that spot more than once every 30 days.
Huh.
So if you have like 60 people, you need to have 30 on each side. And if someone's at the head of the line, it's normally first come, first serve, unless it's the head of the line, in which case if you had that spot in the past 30 days, you can't have it. I'm thinking, why do they have this law? Like, the thing that's going through my mind is, what councilman, was there like some fist fight over leis and who was head at the line like 30 years ago that they had to pass a law that said, hey, you got to be at least 15 and we can't have more than one person at the head of each line? Like, to me, it was the intricacy and detail of saying how things had to be done and what had to be done. And, it's
just micromanaging people.
Well, for me, what's fascinating is the way the free market gets around the government. It's actually a beautiful thing to see. So, for example, the thing says you cannot vend or peddle on the sidewalks of Waikiki Beach. But what is vending and peddling? Well, it's accepting money or quoting a price. That's what the lawyers have said is vending. So how do they get around it? They say, well, I got a luau. It's a real good price. I can't tell you what it is. We have to walk 50 feet in this direction off the street, and then we're no longer on Waikiki Beach. I can now quote you a price. So I kid you not, with James as my witness, we were taken to a little office 1 block off the thoroughfare where they quoted us the prices and took our credit card, and it was amazing.
Do you think that was their office, or could you rent your office out to a bunch of these guys, right?
That was the thing. We said, well, what about, he said, we got 4 of these on Waikiki Beach.
4 offices?
Four vendors that are selling these luau's, authentic Hawaiian luau's, and we said, well, what are the other 3 doing? Do you, if here you have the office 1 block away, but what if someone's way up by the Sheraton, 5 or 10 blocks away? And say, well, those are illegal. So he said, well, what we do is we just, we hope that we don't get caught. So one of our operations is legal. We bring them back to the office here, but those other people way up there, we're not going to have them walk 10 blocks to take their money. They're not going to say yes. So we just take their money. We walk 1 street over and take their money. And I didn't quite understand, but it was definitely it was fascinating to me to look up the laws because I thought they were joking.
And how long was the table of contents in the
table
Hawaiian
of content was the 50 pages was just the index.
And this was Honolulu.
Honolulu, just the city
code.
of ordinance, not the state of Hawaii, not the island of Oahu.
I wonder how that compares to New York City.
That would be a very interesting question.
I bet it's a nightmare. New York City.
New York's got to be awful.
Oh yeah, you can't have cigarette lighters. That was a thing. Some vendors.
You can't sit on a crate in New York City. Apparently.
Yeah, and you tell people this thing. This is the problem with, you tell people about these crazy laws, and they're like, "Oh, you're making that up."
You can't work on Sundays in New Hampshire.
In theory, but no one enforces that one.
And well, technically, so all the businesses that are open, they put their money in the bank account. That's money laundering.
Because it's illegal.
Because it's illegal.
That would be an 18 U.S.C. 1956 violation. And the thing that's frustrating is you tell people, no, there's this really idiotic law and they're like, well, okay, yeah, it is a law, but nobody ever enforces it. And then you say, no, the government is enforcing it. They actually are requiring lay sellers to be over 15. And if you are 14...
I wouldn't be surprised if they do sting operations sometimes out there. Our toll-free number, if you want to join us here, 855-450-FREE. Ridiculous ordinances and bans. Share your favorite with us, or the worst with us, and we'll continue on the hoverboards. Also, you can call in to bring up whatever you want. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. This is Free Talk Live.
I have a 70-pound Royal Standard Poodle. Her name is Zelia. And 3 years ago, Zelia's ears were a mess. She would have sticky, gooey, smelly discharge in her ears. We took Zelia to the vet 7 times, of $150 every time. The vet offered no success at all. My wife and I are driving, and we hear some people on the radio saying DINOVITE.
859-428-1000. The omega-3 fatty acids.
Flaxseed, zinc, alfalfa.
The digestive enzymes that are cooked out of regular dog food.
6 days after I started feeding her Dinovite, my dog's ear problems were cured. My dog no longer yelps. She can be petted without pain, and it's because Dinovite made our dog healthy again.
859-428-1000.
859-428-1000. DINOVITE.com.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined, from where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Free Press Publications is an independent, alternative media and publishing company founded in June 2009 with the mission of ensuring a free press for the freedom movement and is committed to spreading the message of peace, freedom, love, and liberty. FPP also gives new authors an avenue for publishing freedom-oriented material. FPP brings you daily news and commentary on the website fpp.cc, as well as a daily 5-minute newscast, FPP Radio News, and weekly news, views, and commentary in the FPP Freedom Minute and Peace, Love, Liberty Radio at fppradio.com, and the monthly newspaper FPP News at news.fpp.cc. Find FPP online at fpp.cc. That's fpp.cc, as in Creative Commons.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
You can watch the LRN Studio Cam and chat with other listeners anytime at cam.lrn.fm. That's cam.lrn.fm.
Join us here toll-free. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username is lrn.fm, so feel free to reach out to us that way. If you're on Skype, we'll sound sometimes like you're right here in the studio with us. Now, if you're on the internet, you should be protecting yourself over with ProXPN. You get their software for Windows, Mac, iOS, Android, and Linux. And, well, there's actually not software for Linux. They just show you how to set it up so it works with Linux. It's pretty cool. Anyway, go to proxpn.com/amp. And what ProXPN is a virtual private network. They encrypt your internet connection so your own internet service provider won't know what you're doing online. In fact, ProXPN does not keep any logs of your activities whatsoever. They're also available to Bitcoin users. You can pay with your credit card. If you're going to use a credit card, use code FTL50, and you'll get 50% off the regular monthly price if you get the annual account. But if you've got Bitcoin, you get an even better deal when you go to proxpn.com/amp. You pay with Bitcoin, you'll get 2 years of ProXPN for less than $50 worth of Bitcoin, and $5 of your purchase will go to the Free Talk Live AMP program, which will help us spread the ideas of liberty. So you win, you take back your privacy, Free Talk Live gets a little perk, and, of course, ProXPN gets your business. So it's really a great deal. proxpn.com/amp. If you can pay with Bitcoin, go that way. If not, just go to proxpn.com and use code FTL50. As we continue here, we'll go into your calls and thoughts. More on the New York City hoverboard ban coming up. First, let's talk to Eric. He's in Georgia. Eric, you're on Free Talk Live.
Hi, thanks for taking my call.
Sure, it's what we do. Go for it.
Awesome. Yeah, I wanted to talk about nonviolent communication because
Yes,
I think it's just amazing. It's probably one of the best tools that we have for attaining a free society and also just doing
To obtain a
tremendous
free
things for
society,
your-
you said?
Yes, and doing tremendous things for your in personal lives as well. And
All right, so
I've been
tell
like,
me,
yeah,
what is nonviolent communication?
Well, it's a way of communicating with one another, and also just more of a consciousness that's dealing with yourself. Essentially, the idea is you of course, you don't use judgments, but you use empathy to just meet each other's, by just searching out their feelings and meeting their needs, and also in doing the same with yourself and just expressing your feelings and needs at the same time.
So being a
That's
nice
kind of
person.
Shorthand. Well, it's not always saying nice things. Is what we just always just necessarily saying just things that everyone likes, but it's just also just expressing yourself, what needs are not being met, and without using judgment, so to speak. Like,
how has this helped you?
How has this helped me? Well, it's been a lot easier for me to connect with other people, just strangers, and also just reconnect with family and just people I haven't talked to a long time. But in terms of just getting spreading these, just of course spreading ideas and just like winning converts or whatever, just furthering these ideas. I'll give you an example. I was just about 2 weeks ago. I was on my way to a wedding. It was I'm the only anarchist in the car, and there were about 3 people decided just debate with me all at once. And I was communicating that I was feeling disoriented, I was getting frustrated that my need to be heard wasn't being met. And then the atmosphere started being calmer. It started being quieter, and then my communication started flowing a lot easier. And I think it actually got through them a lot easier than just than probably just arguing, trying to win a debate necessarily.
And you managed to pull this off without any illegal drugs.
No, not something.
So here's my understanding of nonviolent communication. It's I forget who was the guy who created it. There's like some
Marshall Rosenberg.
Marshall Rosenberg. So he's this. So he came up with this thing, and there are a number of people in the liberty movement who are big fans of this nonviolent communication. And I have to say, I appreciate where they're coming from. I appreciate the desire for having more productive conversations with people. I appreciate the idea of, okay, let's be empathetic towards the people we're talking with. Being empathetic meaning to put yourself in someone else's shoes and to try to understand how they feel about whatever the issue is that's being discussed. So I think all of that is very important. When I hear the people using these nonviolent techniques or these NVC, nonviolent communication techniques, it really comes off as whiny sounding to me. And I just don't, and I'm someone who appreciates where they're coming from, right? So like I get the idea of let's be empathetic and let's talk to people and communicate without hostility. I get that. But when people start saying, well, my need for this isn't
Ian,
being
I think
met.
you're being a little judgmental right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it sounds whiny. And look, a lot of people don't care about what your needs are. They just want to have this, this conversation for whatever reason, or, and you can be empathetic to people without using, I think, language like that. I remember Derek J was trying this out once when he was doing Derek J's Victimless Crime Spree, and he wrote a letter to the prosecutor that was coming at him at that time, and he was using this NVC language, and it just sounded like you may want to be respected, you may want to feel like people are listening to you, but honestly, you really don't need that. You can live just fine without those needs, if you will, being met. Those are desires, those are wants, but they're not really needs, are they?
I'm not quite sure, but I do have a question about. Do you think it's
a need? I mean, let's go on before you get to your question. A need is something that like you can't live without this, right? Like you need to have water to live. You need to have air. You don't need to have someone empathizing with you to be able to have a conversation with them. It's a good thing to have, no doubt, but that's something that you want.
Correct. Well, you can still use it while people are being judgmental towards you. If it's used correctly, it's where you try to just kind of just hear the judgments, and you can interpret the needs, and the feelings and the needs as well.
Are you on like a headset or something like that? Because it's terrible. Your sound on the phone is absolutely horrible.
I'm so sorry. I am outside. I do
that's so
apologize.
much better. I don't know what you just did, but
I just moved it towards a little closer to my ear.
That helps.
I apologize.
Okay, great. Yeah, you sound a lot better now. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't want to bash this if it's working for you, right? Like if you feel like this has helped you communicate with people, that's great. I think that people should do whatever it is that works for them. For me, it sounds too whiny and it sounds disempowering to use the language.
Okay, well, I have just one quick question for that.
Sure.
I mean, do you think whenever they hear that sounding whiny or whatever, do you think they're also trying to find the feelings and needs of others who is doing there, instead of just instead of just communicating their needs as well? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's what what I've heard when people use it is it's all them talking about what they need, and it's like, look, I don't care what you need. Let's just have a conversation about something. It just sounds like a lot of complaining to me. And then the fact that the guy who founded this is sort of held up as this deity almost in a way, and he also talks to people using a puppet is a little bit weird, don't you think?
Wait, like Mr. Garrison from South Park?
Yeah, kind of like that. I think he died though, right?
Really bothered me.
Marshall
He died this year.
Hey, thanks, Eric. I am glad it works for you, and I'm sure there are people out there who've never heard of it before that will go and check it out because you called up. So thanks for the call.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
I hope you didn't need to be held on to there because we need to continue with your calls and thoughts. 855-450-FREE is our number. You can bring up whatever's on your mind. This is Free Talk Live.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today. If you or someone you care about loves outdoor adventure, then check out slingbow.com for some unique holiday gift ideas. That's slingbow.com, where we have some innovative new products for the archer, hunter, or bow fishing enthusiast in your family. Now through January, use the promo code HOLIDAY to get free shipping in the U.S. or Canada. And from all of us at Slingbow Industries, have a safe, joyous, and peaceful holiday season.
On Free Talk Live, we're bringing people to the ideas of liberty every day. From wrestling superstars like Glenn Jacobs.
You guys really are having an impact, I believe. Like I said, a lot of where I am now is due to listening to Free Talk Live. You changed my mind on some very important issues years ago.
To random people tuning in on the radio.
I was kind of stuck in the left-right paradigm. I heard your show by chance on a Saturday night. From there, I went on, joined the Free State Project, and become an amplifier. So, I mean, that's really the reason why I amp is because I know that if it wasn't for you guys being on as many stations as you are, I never would have found the ideas of liberty.
Your amp will directly change more lives by getting Free Talk Live in front of people looking for talk radio online and on the air. When you amp Free Talk Live, you get perks like access to the AMP-only Facebook group and AMP podcast. Visit amp.freetalklive.com.
Are you a political activist who does things that the government might not like? Then this free ebook may save your life. Rats is your guide to protecting yourself against snitches, informers, informants, agents provocateur, narcs, finks, and similar vermin. Rats was written by OG libertarian Claire Wolfe. Rats is a short book, easy to read, and available free in many formats. Download Rats free at rats-nosnitch.com. That's rats-nosnitch.com.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
Every once in a while, you get information that's worth changing your life for. This is one such time. You can save up to and beyond 25% on all purchases at Amazon. You probably heard of Bitcoin and just not thought much about it. You certainly know that you can get competitive pricing at Amazon, but now you can get a 25% discount on nearly everything you need to live. I've just given you a huge raise, and all you have to do is claim it. You go to saveitpurse.com and open an account. Do this right now. Don't wait. Then you fund the account with Bitcoin. I know this sounds unbelievable, but at my house, we saved as much as 45% off of a new item on Amazon. This information is worth you changing the way you do things. Go to saveitpurse.com right now, get signed up, and cash in on the huge raise I'm offering you. 15 to 25% off of everything at Amazon through saveitpurse.com. It's saveatpurse.com.
You're listening to the best liberty-oriented audio streamed around the clock, on the air and online. This is the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
This is Free Talk Live. Our toll-free number for you to bring up whatever's on your mind, 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Also join us via Skype. Skype username tonight and every night is LRN.FM. So feel free to contact us that way. In studio with you, it's Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
And you can join us here. We're going to continue with your calls and thoughts. I also want to let you know about saveatpurse.com. It is the time of year to start making your purchases for the holidays. They're coming up, whatever it is that you celebrate. Most people are celebrating something in the next upcoming few weeks, and getting your shopping done sooner rather than later obviously makes sense, and doing it without having to leave your door of your house, staying inside the office or the home, and just getting it done. You can do that at saveatpurse.com and save 20%, 30%, maybe even more off of your Amazon purchases. So you might have been using Amazon to buy your stuff for the holidays anyway. Well, stop going to Amazon directly and go through saveatpurse.com. If you've got Bitcoin, that is how you save big time. I've done it myself at least 24 times in the last year, and I'm a huge fan of saveatpurse.com. I actually canceled my Amazon Prime because I'm just not using Amazon to order things anymore. I'm going through saveatpurse.com, and I'm using Bitcoin, and I'm saving big time, and it's awesome. So you should try it out, saveatpurse.com, as we go to your calls and thoughts here. Jimmy is listening in Idaho. Jimmy, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian, James, and TJ.
Hey, guys.
Hey, Jimmy.
Yeah, I was wondering, trying to understand exactly this hoverboard thing you're talking about, because as I understand the hoverboard, it was like something that required this metal base around it and stuff, and you can be like Back to the Future. And
This isn't an actual hoverboard.
Yeah, it's a marketing name. So I would call it just a glorified electronic skateboard or motorized skateboard, but they call it the hoverboard.
Yeah, it's a little hard to describe. It's like two wheels where your 2 feet go, and you kind of
It's a little platform with two wheels on each side, right?
So,
imagine a Segway without the handlebars. That's kind of what it is.
And a smaller version, because the Segway wheels are big, big wheels, and these look like, I'm looking at a guy standing on this. If you were to stand next to this, the wheels would be slightly higher than a standard pair of shoes. So they're not very large at all.
And they're trying to regulate that, huh?
No, they're trying to ban them.
They apparently are banned.
Yes, they are banned. Well, there's a $200 permission fee. So what's the difference between a fine and a fee? It's just what you call it. So I mean, if you were to pay $200 a day to use the thing, that would be a permission fee versus it's a fine because you're not allowed to do it. So the
permission slip would, in theory, prevent you from receiving fines, right? So if there was a permission slip available for this, and there's not, then that would prevent you from, if the police were to stop you and harass you, you could wave them away with your "I've got my government permission slip" thing.
Yeah. But I mean, actually, if you think about Christopher David and his whole Uber thing in city of Portsmouth, so he can't be an Uber driver because he hasn't gotten the permission slip, the $1,000 permission slip to be a taxi driver in Portsmouth, New Hampshire. Well, you could view it as every time he gets pulled over, he gets a $500 fine, but I would just say he's paying a $500 daily fee to the city every time he gets caught.
Well, that's obviously not worth it, right? Because over time, the
it depends on how much your daily income was.
I guess it would depend. So, Jimmy, other thoughts you want to share? Go ahead.
Well, yeah, that's kind of answering my question there. I had one thing for you, Ian,
sure.
and Mark. Mark's not there, but
well, I'm in Mark's microphone, so you got a question for me. I can probably answer with telepathy. I'm connected to Mark fairly well.
Yeah, your website. Accessing it through my smartphone on Android, and you go to your website, and I want to read your articles you have posted and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And immediately it comes up. So I'm thinking this may be a technical problem, but your website comes up, and then immediately, real, like within 5 seconds, comes up to where you want my email address and to sign up for your newsletter. and there's no X button to make it go away.
Okay. Well, we can take technical reports on via email. So we'll definitely look into that. It's certainly not something that I think works well for national radio. But thank you, Jimmy, and we'll see if we can take a look at that off the air. I appreciate the call tonight.
Yeah, thanks for letting me know. I second that one, Ian.
Yeah.
I noticed it, but I didn't say anything. So
okay, thank you for that. Yeah, definitely appreciate it when people bring things forward when there's an issue, but not during the radio show. Let's talk to Ethan listening in Canada. If you need to email directly, you can shoot us an email at ian@freetalklive.com or mark@freetalklive.com. Ethan's in Canada. You're on Free Talk Live.
yeah, what do you want to talk about, eh?
Oh, fantastic. I love the local lexicon. You guys are obviously so worldly. Speaking about worldly, have you guys noticed that some people seem to be afraid of bombing victims? I'm talking about refugees. Have you guys
We have noticed a bit of that here.
Yeah, it seems like, and I think this traverses borders. Both our countries seem to suffer from this incredible fear of people who are running from terror, from bombs, from executions, from religious extremism. It's quite horrifying to watch. It's like a massive lack of empathy. It's kind of crazy because a lot of people fear that we're going to be attacked.
So this is happening in Canada as well. So it's not just xenophobic Americans. There are also xenophobic Canadians.
There are plenty of xenophobic Canadians. In fact, it seems about only 40 look at that, Aboot, it was so right. About only 40% of us seem to support refugees coming into Canada. Our federal government has this plan to bring in 25,000 refugees by the end of the year, which is a really quick timeline. I think it challenges the American plan. I believe you guys had something like 10,000 wanting to come in, right?
I have no idea.
Something like that. But the point is, you've got all of these people who are languishing in refugee camps. You've got people who are trying to escape war-torn regions of the planet. And you have all of these people who are saying, that's terribly horrible. We can't let those people in. They might attack us. I totally get that there is an unfortunate sort of link here with the state, that the state provides an enormous amount of benefit to refugees, and that probably shouldn't happen. They should probably just get out of the way of refugees who are trying to make a new life in a new
but Ethan, even without the benefits, let's just say the welfare programs disappeared tomorrow, you'd still have people who are fearful about the idea of refugees because ISIS, they could be coming to kill and steal your babies or something like that. Well, how do you address that?
Right. Well, I guess the best technical way to address that is quite obviously that, look, refugees are some of the most screened people coming into a country on the planet. For your country and mine, there is no other group of people that come into a country that are from international origin that are screened more heavily. Getting a passport is complete and utter child's play compared to this. This is why these people are in refugee camps for like 4 years. They go through multiple interviews. A lot of times, a lot of the procedures that they have to go through have to be repeated several times and extends the process of screening, because by the time they finally get to the next step, it's been too long since we've asked you those questions, we have to ask you again.
But that's not very libertarian, though, right? I mean, like to fall back on the government and say, oh, well, you don't have to worry about these people being killers because the government's going to protect you with screenings. I mean, that doesn't sound like something that a libertarian should be saying. And I happen to know that you are a libertarian talk show host from the Ed and Ethan show.
At one point.
Yeah.
I think that it's not something to lean on. It's definitely apropos, and this is why I point out that we shouldn't be afraid of victims who are running from bombs. These are people who are running away from the terrorists.
Right?
But
that's what they want you to think. They're only acting like they're victims because they want you to let them in so they can blow more things up.
Isn't it terrible? I wonder if they wouldn't have acted like that if we had bombed them. I don't know. I wonder what the difference. Strange.
Well, it's kind of funny. Like the more things change, the more things stay the same. I mean, it wasn't too long ago in this country that they were locking up Japanese. Saying, they're going to sabotage. We have to lock them all up because we're not sure which ones are going to be potential terrorists, even though pretty much none of them were terrorists. So it's just a bunch of fear-mongering.
We were actually at Pearl Harbor in Hawaii, and so, of course, it was the Japanese attacked us unprovoked. It's like, we put our entire Pacific Fleet right at Japan's doorstep,
Yeah, there are so many things we can go into it that were just provoking Japan,
Well,
and it's no different today.
Memo, the McCollum memo, that goes over 8 reasons or 8 ways that they could essentially manipulate the Japanese into attacking them. Ethan, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate it. Appreciate hearing from you. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. Whether it's the hoverboard or refugees or whatever happens to be on your mind, you can join us here. 855-450-3733. It's Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Currency is too important a thing to be left in the hands of government bureaucrats, especially when billions of dollars can be created with the swipe of a pen. Overstock.com supports the cryptocurrency movement because it returns the power of an inflation-proof form of money to the people, where it belongs. Did you know that you can use Bitcoin to pay for anything Overstock.com sells while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more? If you support freedom and the cryptocurrency movement, you should support Overstock.com.
With a new year coming, it's time for a new way to look at weapon storage. Safes can't be accessed quickly, and racks are unsafe for children. Covert cabinets are the next level in home defense. They fit seamlessly into any home's decor, and they provide quick access to firearms while keeping them uniquely hidden. Covert cabinets, the ideal hidden storage solution. Custom made in the USA, Covert cabinets are an elegant and practical alternative to the bulky and obvious storage systems of the past. Find out more at covertcabinets.com. That's covertcabinets.com.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
Money, power, and respect are all yours at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Be seen as an industry leader. You can do it. The last application you filled out when it was time to hit submit, did your nerves spike? You didn't get the approval you seek, but there's a better way. We teach you exactly what to place into the right systems the right way the first time so you get approved. Get up to $100,000 in instant business credit. Many people will get cash on the spot. Use those two tools in your new corporate credit engine so you can walk into the bank and get your project funded today. It's all about today at CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com. Credit Success Secrets Revealed is explosive and ignites instant results. Dial 1-800-707-8719. That's 1-800-707-8719. 1-800-707-8719. Or just go to CreditSuccessSecretsRevealed.com.
Here's a chance to do a little activism while you're cruising Facebook, Twitter, or Google+. Between the LOL cats, the recipes, the hot girls, and the inspirational sunrise memes, Free Talk Live's posts pass by your newsfeed. Like them, comment. It gives us more exposure. If you don't see our posts, click like at facebook.freetalklive.com and then hover over it to click Get Notifications. It's an easy way to spread the ideas of liberty a bit further. I know you're busy, but you can spare that 1/10 of a calorie it takes to click on something. Facebook.freetalklive.com.
If you want to move to the free state and you're looking for some real estate.
Oof, I think we've all had enough of that jingle, don't you? If you're going to invest in property in New Hampshire, it just makes sense to support a liberty-friendly realtor. Call Mark Warden of Team Porcupine Real Estate for investment property or rentals in the Free State, or visit his website. Come on, you know it.
PorcupineRealEstate.com.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
This is Free Talk Live. You may join us here. The toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. You can also join us on Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. The hoverboard has been banned in New York City. It's not actually a hoverboard. It's not like the Lexus hoverboard. I don't know if y'all saw that video that Lexus put out.
And it's not like the hoverboard from Back to the Future 2.
Right, which is what inspired Lexus, I guess, because it's 2015, and so the whole Back to the Future thing was happening, or Back to the Future 2 was happening in 2015, and they had hoverboards, and this is the year that the first hoverboard has actually come out. It's not available commercially at this point. The Lexus hoverboard, essentially, it's using magnetic technology.
Yeah.
It has to be used on a special track that essentially has, metal or magnets or something in it. And so that's how it works. There's a video online of the Lexus hoverboard. I'm sure if you search for that, you'll find it. And they got some, pro skateboarder guy to come out and ride this thing around on one of these the special tracks. And, of course, there's a Lexus car in the thing, so it's basically a commercial for the Lexus company because there's not any kind of plan that they're going to be marketing these in any way, shape, or form to the general public. But that's sort of a real hoverboard in that it actually did not touch anything. It was actually hovering. These things that have been banned in New York City are, I think you described them best, TJ, a Segway without the handles,
Correct.
Basically, or the stem.
The hoverboard is just a marketing trade name they get, and that really kind of irks me as an engineer because then when I want to talk about it, I say hoverboard. People think I'm talking about the thing in Back to the Future 2. Right. And I'm like, no, it's just a Segway. And like, well, why wouldn't they just call it a motorized skateboard or something? And I'm like, well, because that's
not really a skateboard. The skateboard is something that is long and thin. This is wide.
Yeah.
So it's something that you just sort of stand on with your natural stance, right? You're just sort of standing on it. And then I guess what do you do? Lean forward or something like that?
And you lean forward. In fact, I saw like 2 or 3 people out them when we were in Hawaii. We saw them on Waikiki Beach. People were riding around on them.
Yeah, they are pretty cool, and you can go faster than you can walk. So
did you try one?
No, they look cool though.
I see. Your boyfriend was skimping out, huh?
Yes, I was getting the 5-star chef dining was kind of taking it out on the wallet.
These hoverboards are also illegal in Britain. It says British authorities declared them illegal to ride in public because they're considered vehicles, and vehicles cannot be driven on sidewalks.
So wait. Now, isn't that counter to the New York City definition? Because earlier you read us this long legal categorization for these hoverboards, and they specifically said that they were not motor vehicles. So,
well, what's interesting now is the NYPD. I remember I said they posted a thing up and they posted a code and then they deleted it because it's the wrong code.
Right, the municipal code.
So now they're saying that they're still illegal, but the department did not respond to follow-up questions about how the law would be enforced. So they are illegal, they're saying, but...
See, this is the kind of thing that I think is... this would be fun to do as a family kind of civil disobedience. And I know that people will say, oh, Ian, you don't have kids, and people who have kids wouldn't want to do this. But I think that if you actually had a family who is willing to engage in some level of civil disobedience, you send your 7-year-old or 10-year-old or whatever out there with one of these hoverboards, and you just have them playing in the streets and riding around on their hoverboard with their friends or whatever, and then wait and see what the police do about that. Go do it right in front of the police station or something.
You got to be careful in New York, wouldn't it? I think I might be misremembering here, but
take your kids.
Yeah, I think New York. This lady was sending her child on the subway alone, and they were going to arrest her, and they hassled her. And
I don't think they hassled her. I think you're talking about the world's worst mother.
That's right. Yeah.
Lenore Skenazy, who actually spoke at this year's Porcupine Freedom Festival. We had a chance to meet her. Super nice lady. She blogs over at freerangekids.com. Great website. She, I don't believe she faced any legal consequence for that, but there have been other parents who have allowed their kids to sort of be more independent and go home from school or go to the park by themselves, and that they have had their kids taken away from them in various different jurisdictions. So that I understand why parents wouldn't want to do something like that, and by no means would I, twist anyone's arm into doing it. But I think that when kids are involved in doing civil disobedience like that, it really is a powerful thing. Like the kids with the lemonade stands.
Yes.
That's the classic example.
It teaches, sometimes teaching the kids, sometimes there is a time and place to tell the government no. To say what you are doing is inherently wrong, it is unnecessary, it may not be evil, but is completely silly, and I refuse to obey. And so spank me or go away. And so, it's kind of amazing. What I love about Keene is I love watching you, Ian. You'll go in there and you'll have an open container of alcohol. I'm not bothering anybody. I'm not bothering or molesting anybody or harassing anybody, but I have an open container of alcohol. Go ahead and arrest me. And what really it shows that what the government cares about is not the open container of alcohol. They can't have people like you out there making fun of them, disobeying them flagrantly. So my idea—
They hate that.
Oh, yeah. When I was in Hawaii, my idea was to take an open container of alcohol. So our tour guide said, get a thing of Jack Daniels, go to Burger King, pour it in the cup, get some soda, walk along the beach, watch the sunset while drinking Jack and Coke. And I immediately pipe up, isn't that illegal? And he says, well, you don't tell the cops you're doing it. Yeah, it's illegal. And I thought, this is very interesting. The tour guide, all the reasonable, good people know that this law is silly, this open container law. And yet the cops, for them, I said, I'm going to get an open container. I'm going to have James hold a sign with an arrow pointing to me going, open container, please arrest me. And it's like, please don't do that. Please don't do that.
That's what
you're going to destroy your record. And I'm like, well, I'm already retired. I don't care about my criminal record. We don't come to New Hampshire and do this to you. And we take care of people here. And I'm like, I didn't know how. Well, he said we take care of people here. And I'm like, you mean like we take care of people here, or we take care of people? Mahalo. Oh, we love you. And I didn't know how to really interpret that.
I think it's the former.
Yeah, but ultimately, what it is, it's not the container of alcohol that matters. It's somebody's making fun of the law and flagrantly disobeying them, and they can't have the public seeing somebody break the law so openly, so publicly, because then you're on a slippery slope, because then everyone might start disobeying that law.
Right, and then their power is hanging by a thread. They're essentially, to some extent, a paper tiger. Yes, they will lash out and hurt people, but if enough people were to disobey them, they would be unable to control it. And, of course, the perfect example of this, I think the classic Keene example of this. Keene is the place in New Hampshire.
Please say the 420 smoking.
Yes. Keene is the place in New Hampshire where we're doing this show from right now. And, of course, we're all here because of the Free State Project, the idea of converging activists together so we can be more effective together. But the best example actually involved mostly locals, which was Rich Paul's 420 celebrations that were happening here. Now, Rich, he's on our Monday night show here on Free Talk Live. He is a great activist, libertarian, voluntarist, through and through. And he started these 420s that were happening publicly in Central Square in Keene in 2009. And he spread the word amongst the locals because at the time he was selling weed in town.
Yeah.
And
a lot of people smoke weed. It's just most people have sense enough. Yes, it's kind of like being openly gay in the 1970s. If you are a pot smoker, if you're a school teacher or a doctor or a lawyer or a real estate agent, anything with a government license, you would be crazy to admit that you smoke pot. Right. So, of course, it's just like there were a lot of gay people back in the 70s, but everyone had sense enough not to admit it. And it wasn't until a few people started saying, well, I'm gay and I really don't see anything wrong with it.
Right, when they stood up for themselves. And so that's what was going on a daily basis. Eventually, it grew to 100 and it was like over a week or two, it grew to 100 people in Central Square, which is a relatively small park. We're just talking about a small park in the middle of
and the whole idea
Keene.
was, hey, people smoke in public. They smoke their cigarettes or tobacco, or they drink their vodka martini on the public sidewalk in a nice restaurant.
But the thing is, the police tried to crack down. They came in and they did their classic thing of targeting who they thought was the leader.
Oopsie.
And they did that, and they went and they arrested Rich during one of these big ones with like 100 and something plus people.
And that was a mistake.
It was. But with anyone else, it might have worked, right? They have to try because they have to protect their power. So they took Rich to the police station. About half About half of the group walked down there with signs and chanting.
Oh, they walked more with than just signs, Ian.
Well, there was a lot of weed too.
Yeah, they walked into the police station with
that was the second time. So the first day we went behind the police station, behind the no unauthorized access sign.
Legal.
Sat down in a large circle and passed around multiple joints over the period of about an hour while we waited for Rich to be released.
What was the one where they had their bongs and their joints? You were smoking in the middle of the police station lobby.
That was the next day.
Okay,
the police came back out the next day and made another arrest of another one of the people they thought was the ringleader. And then again, another 50 people went back to the police station, this time going inside the police station lobby and successfully smoking cannabis inside the police station lobby
where there was
a
no smoking sign.
That's right.
There was a no smoking sign in there, Ian.
In front of the agents, there were people there. It wasn't like they didn't know what was going on.
They sure wanted to pretend it wasn't going on.
That's right, yeah, because later on, that was the last arrest that happened. Later on, the police were saying, well, we've gotten reports of pot being smoked in Central Square, and we've walked through and we haven't smelled anything, so we're just calling this case closed, even though we were still smoking every day. 855-450-FREE, it's Free Talk Live.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
Are you tired of governments murdering people around the world? Stop using their money. There is an alternative. Bitcoin is a stateless, free market, non-political currency. Bitcoin cannot be inflated or controlled by any government. By using their money, you are helping the state. Stop doing it. You have an incredible alternative available now. Learn it, use it, spread it. Get started with Bitcoin at bitcoin.com. That's bitcoin.com.
So you've heard all 3 hours of the latest episode of Free Talk Live, and you're still hungry for liberty-oriented audio content? Did you know that we have another 24/7 audio stream at LRN.FM? The Liberty Radio Network airs the latest episodes of some of the best liberty-oriented podcasts on the internet around the clock. In addition to recorded content, you'll also hear live shows like Free Talk Live, originating from our Keene, New Hampshire studio. So listen anytime at LRN.FM. That's LRN.FM.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 2 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, November 20th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.29 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,083 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $323. Antiwar.com reports in a 289-137 vote, largely along party lines, the House of Representatives on Thursday voted to block the admittance of Syrian and Iraqi refugees into the United States. The bill places hugely onerous restrictions on the admittance of such refugees, which is meant to effectively halt the entire process. Under the American Security Against Foreign Enemies Act, every single Iraqi or Syrian refugee who wants to be admitted will need a certification from the FBI director on their background check, as well as 3 different certifications from the FBI director, the Homeland Security Secretary, and the Director of National Intelligence that the individual refugee is not a threat. While in theory this means refugees could still come, in practice it will grind the entire process to a halt, and this appears to be by design, ensuring that no refugees at all are being admitted from either Iraq or Syria, as well as anyone who's ever been to Iraq or Syria in the last 4 years. Since Friday's attacks in Paris, there has been a growing backlash against refugees, particularly among U.S. Republicans. This was based largely on rumors, which turned out to be false, of a refugee being among the attackers. Germany's interior minister said he believes a refugee passport was planted at one of the sites as a false flag by the Islamic State to make things harder for the refugees, and by all indications, that is working. In 1999, Daryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Daryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports the nation's largest health insurance provider said Thursday that it will scale back efforts to attract customers under the Affordable Care Act in 2016 and may exit the federal marketplace entirely the following year. United Health Group, which insures about 600,000 people in the government-led program, said the moves are due to higher risk that make it more challenging to turn a profit. United Health is the first major insurance company to indicate it might leave the exchange, which federal officials say will provide coverage for about 10 million Americans by the end of 2016. The company made the remarks as it downgraded its earnings forecast and blamed the Affordable Care Act for giving customers perhaps too much flexibility to change plans, saying those who sign up for coverage are using it too much, which cuts into profits. United Health CEO Stephen Hemsley said on a conference call Thursday, "We see no data pointing to improvement." While the group's exit from the ACA marketplace might be a significant move, some analysts say it would probably make too small a dent to topple the entire exchange. Others say the news may be an indicator of a tough financial climate for President Obama's signature healthcare law. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. health regulators on Thursday cleared the way for a type of genetically engineered Atlantic salmon to be farmed for human consumption, the first such approval for an animal whose DNA has been scientifically modified. 5 years ago, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration first declared the product, made by Massachusetts-based Aqua Bounty Technologies, to be as safe as conventional farm-raised Atlantic salmon. The FDA said on Thursday that Aqua Bounty's product will not require special labeling because it is nutritionally equivalent to conventional farm-raised Atlantic salmon. Aqua Bounty developed the salmon by altering its genes so that it would grow faster than traditional farm-raised salmon and expects it to take about 2 years to reach consumers' plates as it works out distribution. The fish is essentially Atlantic salmon with Pacific salmon genes for faster growing and a gene from the eel-like ocean pout that promotes year-round growth. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
Over 60% of employers are now checking online amateur pornography of potential job candidates. Is it fair to base hiring decisions on an applicant's online porn?
Now, this is not fair at all. For instance, if there's a red tube video of my girlfriend slapping me and choking me and riding me, that shouldn't be an indication I'm going to lack leadership in a work situation.
Yeah, but Duncan, it's going to be hard to convince an employer who's masturbating to that video otherwise.
Exactly. My potential employer might see all those videos of my husband tying me up and having his way with me, and then they're going to think that I'm not going to be assertive enough for the job.
I mean, if you don't want to jeopardize the content of your porn, you can always shoot from the eyes down.
Oh, but that's not the same if you cover the eyes. That's where the innocence is.
So am I supposed to leave an orgy just because someone shows up with a camera?
No one's saying you should leave an orgy.
No, right. So
it's more complicated.
So now if I go to a party, I wear something like this in case that situation comes up again.
I like that. I actually shoot my porn in sepia tone and make it look old-timey, so if people see it, they'll think it's my grandfather and not me.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us toll-free here. Our number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. With you in studio, it's Ian,
James, and TJ the Spy.
We've also got Skype. Skype username is LRN.FM. In the last hour, in case you're just tuning in, we did cover this hoverboard story. It's not actually a hoverboard like you think it is. That's just a brand name for a thing with wheels. So, okay, not a hoverboard, but that's what they call it. Anyway, that's been banned from New York City, apparently. And we were discussing civil disobedience, and I had suggested that someone with a kid should, have their child go out and use one of these devices, one of these so-called hoverboards, and use it in front of the New York Police Department or something like that. Just drive it back and forth all, for an hour or something like that.
And we were talking about the efficacy of activism, and of course that naturally led to the smoke-in, the 420 smoke-ins here in Keene, where you had 50
smoke-outs.
Smoke-outs, yeah, where it
became a smoke-in,
where the Keene Police Department arrested, a couple people for smoking pot in public, and all of a sudden they had 50 potheads in the middle of their police station lighting joints and smoking bongs, and that was the last time they ever started arresting people. Like, you can actually smoke your pot in public in Keene, and they will not arrest you for the most part. I mean,
if you're doing it right in front of a cop, that might be a little bit different. But in Central Square, you can generally get away with smoking weed, and the police won't respond to calls.
Yeah, as long as you're not bothering anybody, then they're going to leave you alone. And that was the thing. I said, it's amazing. Keene is about 30,000 people.
Not even. 25, 22.
The problem with voting is if I want to convince somebody that I'm right, I got to get 51% of the registered voters to agree with me to repeal a bad law.
Yeah, 51% of the registered voters who are willing to come out and vote. In a municipal election, the last one was only a 17% turnout.
And jury nullification, that's where I convince a person if the law is bad or dumb, you just vote not guilty, even though the person is guilty. And I got to get 1 out of 12 jurors to agree with me on that if I want to nullify a law. But, with civil disobedience, it's amazing. Just 0.5% of the population came out, and they said, know what? We're going to smoke. We're not bothering anybody, and we're going to smoke it right here. Arrest us if you so desire. In fact, we're going to come right down to your police station and smoke it. And the cops are just like, oh, God, what do we do now? Because they didn't have enough jail space. They can't arrest them all.
Can't do anything.
They can't do anything. They're utterly helpless. And I thought, I don't know what to think of that if the state is so easily flummoxed by just if 0.5% of the population gets out of line, what do they do? Anyway.
Well, that's just it. I mean, they only have so many options, and I think their best option is to ignore it, because if they do crack down, if they do, for instance, call in every police officer from the surrounding towns to make an arrest of a dozen or 24 pot smokers, that's going to be a mess for them, because now they've got, maybe a dozen people who are not going to take a plea deal, and they're going to clog the system with, these criminal charges. They're going to go to a jury if they have the opportunity to go to a jury, and then those juries will have an opportunity to vote not guilty and jury nullify. So, I mean, this could blow up into a huge thing, whereas if they just leave it alone and ignore them, which is what they learned the lesson the hard way, because later on the official line from the police, and remember, there are people in town here who will believe anything the government tells them. So when the government says, oh, those Robin Hooders, those people filling the parking meters, they're threatening, intimidating, and harassing. They're threatening and intimidating.
As I say, as I wear my Robin Hood shirt right here.
Can I point the camera at you? I don't
Oh, sure, yeah, go right ahead.
Okay, so we'll do that so our listeners can, or our viewers online can see
I had these made special because I figure now that the ruling has just come out, we're still getting information on it, but I figure now we can go back and we're going to be dressed in all green. So James has his uniform now. He'll be wearing a uniform so he can be clearly spotted and terrorize the parking enforcers.
Yeah, the thing that's so ridiculous, I mean, if you were going around threatening people, I mean, there are laws against that. You cannot do that.
That's correct.
So
criminal threatening would be one of them.
If they could have charged us criminally, they would have. It's just like, we're going to bring this garbage civil lawsuit. It's basically a way they could slander us legally.
So the cops lie, and they say, okay, well, now we're going back to the smokeouts. So what happened after they made the arrest and they failed with that attempt, it didn't stop the smokeouts from happening. They continued on day after day after day. The cops then officially would tell people, oh, we've walked through there, we've gotten complaints, we've walked through Central Square, and we haven't smelled anything, so we can't take any action. We've seen no evidence that anyone is actually
smoking
evil,
speak no evil.
Marijuana, which is not true. One, they weren't walking through. Two, if they were walking through, they definitely must have smelled marijuana because it was being smoked.
Rich Paul was probably blowing it right in their face.
Well, I would hope he wasn't doing that, but they weren't enforcing it. They were using their discretion to look the other way, but they were lying to people who wanted them to enforce it, because there's a certain snitch group out there that will call and they'll snitch on the activists. And so they would tell this to the snitchers, and then they'd, of course, go and tell their friends, oh, the police say they're not actually smoking. Those Free Staters are liars. They're not out there smoking any pot. They're out smoking cigarettes, and they're just hanging out. So the official story is believed by some people, even though the truth was marijuana was being smoked on a day-to-day basis out there. But you can't convince the obedient police supporters into thinking that the police would actually lie to them.
Yeah.
Right? That doesn't happen.
Well, and it doesn't help that we pull little stunts like we'll take Jack Daniel bottles and we'll empty them out and put tea in them and go around drinking them. And so, of course, the whole point is to illustrate the absurdity of the law.
Oh, yeah, that would be a fun one to bring back to, like, the college
the drinking game?
Well, no, the drinking game happened at a city council meeting. But one of the things that the police are known for around here is they sort of lurk in the college neighborhoods, and they'll have bicyclist cops.
Oh, they'll go undercover too. They'll walk around in plain clothes and all kinds of ridiculous things.
And what they want to find is a college student walking from one house to another with a beer in their hand, and they want to zero in on them and arrest them. So they'll like shine spotlights at them, and then they'll come over and harass them. And they'll do things like the cops are trained to do, which is to say things that sound like an order, but
in a
not
suggestive tone, like, I need to search your bottle.
I'm going to have to ask you to hand that over.
Yes.
While they have a gun in their hands hovering over their gun. And so, of course, that sounds like you have to hand it over, but of course you don't actually, generally. If it's like a plain bottle with no markings on it or something.
Generally, and any lawyer will advise you to do this, you say, clarify, officer, is that a request or is that an order? And if they'll get irritated, and if they say it's an order, then you have to do it. But then you have it on record that it wasn't voluntary. You didn't voluntarily hand it over to them.
Exactly. And so if you didn't consent to the search, then it can be thrown out in court and things like that.
Yeah.
So
you
that's
certainly
not
make
legal
conviction
advice.
a lot harder.
It's not legal advice, but that's my experience. So the idea would be to send a Confederate down there, one of our people, one of the activists, to
big
literally
bottle of Jack Daniels with tea in it.
Yeah, with something like that, and just chug it in front of the cops, and
there's officer.
There's that great video of the police.
It's
officer.
There's a video of the police checkpoint in Walpole where Garrett rides through the checkpoint. And he has a brown bottle. Right as he goes down the window, he takes a huge drink.
That's right.
It's so funny, and they just
the cop
ignore
doesn't
it.
say anything to him about that. That's the same video where I get out of the car. I'm in the passenger seat, and I was recording the interaction with Garrett, and I was like, oh, it's such a nice night out. I'm going to go for a walk because this is taking a while. So I'm getting out of the car with my video camera. The cops, they're state troopers, zero in on me. Multiple cops, close the gap between where they were standing and me, and one of them gets up in my face and shouts at me to get back in the car. And I say to him, what is that about? I'm the passenger here. I'm not obligated to stay in this car during this traffic stop. What if I...
You better obey me. I'm the police.
Right. What if I just had an argument with the driver and I want to get out of the car? It's a nice night. It's a nice night for a walk. I'm out here walking. He's like, you get back in the car, you're going to get charged with disorderly conduct. And at that point, I think I was on bail conditions or something. I was like, I really don't want to get arrested tonight.
Yeah, you inspired me. I did that in Manchester through one of their checkpoints. Yeah, I got out of the vehicle.
How'd that go?
Initially, they're like, what the heck? And then they just ignored me. I just walked away.
Was it Stadies or the
It was the Manchester PD.
So the Stadies seem to be a little more rough.
Yeah, they're more military. They have high and tights. They stay in a barracks. They're like Troop C or Troop whatever.
And they're the ones that arrested you for recording video.
That's right.
Them. Whereas the local cops, they don't bat an eye at someone.
Well, they see you two and they're like, oh God, not Ian. Please no.
Our toll-free number tonight, but these guys must have known who we were, right? The state troopers certainly knew who we were. All the cops around here, they all know. They all pass around.
If they don't, they know
videos.
very quickly.
They get briefed on the Free Staters, and they watch our videos. It's not like they have anything better to do. They're out there arresting people for open containers. This is New Hampshire. Not like there's violent crime.
Have you become a slave to big tobacco? Have they taken away your money, your health, and even your freedom, forcing you to stand out in the cold this winter? There's an alternative. With the help of Jimmy the Juice Man and GiantVapes.com, for less than the cost of a carton of cigarettes, you can make the switch to electronic cigarettes and take back your freedom. At GiantVapes.com, you'll find a selection of high-quality, reasonably priced electronic cigarette hardware kits to get you started, and a selection of delicious, premium, flavored liquid refills from the award-winning Jimmy the Juice Man brand. These aren't the junk you find at your local convenience store or gas station. Use coupon code FTL10 for 10% off your first order of hardware and Jimmy the Juice Man brand liquid at GiantVapes.com, where you'll always get free guaranteed same-day shipping. Break free of the chains of sin taxes and big tobacco. Free same-day shipping and 10% off from giantvapes.com with coupon code FTL10. That's giantvapes.com with coupon code FTL10.
Pro Pure water, the way nature meant it to be. Clean, crisp, and refreshing. Pro Pure, the most trusted name in gravity water filtration systems. With the silver-infused Pro 1G 2.0 all-in-one water filter. Helps remove and reduce over 200 contaminants. Don't purchase just any filter claiming to be certified. Get the Pro 1G 2.0, the only gravity filter with NSF 42 certification. NSF, valued and recognized for independent certification worldwide. In addition, the Pro 1G 2.0 was independently tested to meet NSF 53 and P231 standards. Pro Pure, easy to assemble, easy to maintain, easy to clean filters. Purchase with confidence in quality, performance, and customer service. Take advantage of our biggest holiday 25% off sale going on now. Visit your authorized Pro Pure dealer or ProPureUSA.com. That's ProPureUSA.com. Or call 800-544-3533.
Understanding your credit score is the first step towards managing and improving it. This is Charlie Sundstrom with your Van Dyke Mortgage Minute. The most influential component of your credit score is your payment history. Almost equally as important is the amount you owe on credit accounts. Also impacting your score, but to a lesser degree, are the length of time you've utilized your credit, the number of new accounts, credit inquiries, and your various types of credit accounts. To help achieve or maintain a healthy credit score, have a system set up to assure your bills are always paid on time. Don't max out your cards. It's better to have a high credit limit with a low balance. Never close old accounts. The age of these can actually help your credit score. But don't be afraid to use your credit. You need several accounts in order to have a credit score. Just keep the corresponding payments within your means. For your mortgage pre-approval and refi needs, start by visiting VanDykeMortgage.com.
Corporate NMLS 3035. Van Dyke Mortgage is an equal housing lender. Charlie Sundstrom, NMLS 134251.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
In Survivor Max 2, School Bites, Max must scavenge through a wasteland swarming with the undead. Desperate to find the medicine he needs, he discovers a community of survivors at his former school. Has he finally found the safe haven he's been looking for, or will he discover that school bites? Look for Survivor Max on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, and read Chapter 1 at SurvivorMax.com.
Do you love Twitter? Make sure you favorite the LRN.FM Twitter account so you can receive our tweets at twitter.lrn.fm. That's twitter.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. Please join us toll-free if you'd like. The conversation can be directed by you to some extent. You can actually bring up whatever's on your mind. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. Skype on in here at username LRN.FM. And if you want to reach people with the ideas of liberty, you should do it from the back of your car. With LibertyStickers.com, you can reach thousands of people with a bumper sticker or more than one. And you know people love to read them, so check out the vast selection of witty, poignant, pithy, and downright bombastic liberty-oriented messages available to you at LibertyStickers.com. Plus, they'll make custom stickers for you, too, so if there's some sort of brilliant thing that you want to see and they don't already have, you can make it and submit it to them, and they'll print it for you. LibertyStickers.com. Let's go to the phones, to the fun, and then more on these hoverboards, so-called hoverboards, being banned allegedly from New York City. Tom, you're in Nashua, New Hampshire. You're on with Ian, James, and TJ the Spy.
Yeah, there's been lately in the last few days some anti-Muslim hysteria. And it's mostly from a lot of ignorant people, but the problem is that they vote. And their votes count just as much as the votes of us Orthodox libertarian extremists. But the one telling point that I want to bring up is that they would apply the same, not just what we've already heard, that all Muslims, including not just failing to differentiate between peaceful Muslims and radical violent Muslims, but also failing to distinguish between Shiite Muslims who are being targeted by ISIS and the Sunni Muslims. So that, and they don't even know the difference. I mean, they probably have, if you ask them which ones are ISIS, are they Shiites or Sunnis, they would have about a 50-50 chance of getting it right because they're so ignorant. So I just wanted to bring up that point. Is they don't just fail to distinguish between radical, violent Muslims and peaceful ones. They also don't even distinguish between the Shiites who are being targeted.
Even in the Sunnis in that world, it's the Salafists, the jihadist Salafists are the ones that are ISIS. So not even all Sunnis necessarily.
Of course not. Oh, of course not. Of course not. But it's just each one is a distinct transaction, unless they have joined the Islamic State, of course, in which case then they are an organized force that is on a mission to do violence. But you gotta get to these people are just so ignorant they don't even know what they're talking about, and you show them a map of the Middle East and they okay, now which you draw the lines there. Which one is Afghanistan and which one is
I probably
Saudi
wouldn't
Arabia?
be able to tell you without the lines and without the labels. I wouldn't. Even know.
So. They really.
But I don't pretend to know. If there's something I don't know, I'll tell you I don't know, and I know that makes me a bad talk show host. But whatever.
Well, all the communication theory people, like, if you majored in communication theory, you realize that right now, like the word anarchist is a good example. It's totally a lost cause. I really do not educate people. To use that word. As soon as people hear anarchist, they immediately shut off. They don't want to have to hear what you say. So I prefer to say I'm a voluntarist. That's one of your words, Ian.
Yeah,
right?
I like voluntarist.
Because then it's like it's a totally new word.
I find that voluntarist is confusing to people because they think everything has to be voluntary, meaning that you can't get paid for things. So I use voluntarist instead, which I think is a little less confusing than voluntarist. Tom, thanks for your call tonight. I appreciate the perspective. Appreciate hearing from you. Toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. But I agree with you, TJ. The word anarchist.
I was thinking.
You might as well call yourself a rapist.
Yes. It's like, well, no, we distinguish. So I thought maybe Muslims could do the same thing. We're not Muslims. They just make up a new word for the peaceful version, and that way people, as soon as they hear Muslim, they don't immediately shut off and think, oh, you're one of those.
So back to the story about the hoverboards. Not TJ, but both. I guess you guys both sort of brought in a hoverboard story tonight. It's not an actual hoverboard. It's got wheels on it. It's not really a skateboard. It's pointed. It's I guess wide instead of long like a skateboard. It's wide instead of a skateboard, and it does have two wheels on it. And it uses some sort of balancing mechanism to help you move without having a pole that you have to push forward.
A gyroscopic stabilizer. And that's how you know I'm smart, because I know technical words like that.
So Casey Neistat, this is something that one of our listeners, Matthew, on Skype sent a message linking me to this video. Casey Neistat posts this video today from New York City, where he's kind of puttering around on one of these hoverboard devices and actually confronting the police in a nice way, sort of asking them, hey, have you heard that this thing is illegal? The first two cops say they don't know anything about that, and they just let him go on his way. The third cop,
I was going to say 3. You want the over or the under, and when he's going to get the tar kicked out of him.
No, that doesn't happen here. Here's what the third cop says.
Officers, have you heard of these things being illegal in the city?
Technically, yes, they are.
Technically, they are.
They are, yes.
But it's not a tremendous priority for you guys.
Not for me, no.
Take care.
Be safe.
Yeah, you too.
Yeah, and then as James pointed out, he's actually riding through the middle of the intersection at that point too. When the cops he's talking to are in the crosswalk, he is actually in the middle of the intersection as he's saying those things to him. So I don't even know if he was obeying the traffic ordinances right there in front of them. So clearly the police are able to use discretion. That officer just did that.
Yeah, that's one of the funny things about knowing all the ordinances. Like, I can drive around town and I'm like, oh, that's illegal, that's illegal, that's illegal. Like, I'd be a good code enforcement officer, but...
Wait, when you're saying that's illegal, do you mean what other people are doing or like property issues?
I can just look and be like, that's a code violation. You know, this code, they're in violation of it. But...
James and I play this game. We say, like, we'll look down the street and whoever can spot more violations or people we could write tickets to wins the game. And so... Like, yeah, we'll drive around town like, oh, but it's illegal to do that. So, you know, and then we have to cite the
Things
code.
you guys do for fun.
Oh, yeah.
You know what? That's something that's nice about being here in New Hampshire is, yeah, there are some ordinances in some of the towns, like the larger places like Keene or Manchester and places like that. But even a lot of them go unenforced. There's really not... There's a lot more freedom in a place like New Hampshire than New York.
One of the great things, too, is like you can... read the code, and then like TJ was mentioning earlier, you can just find a loophole around it. Like, okay, well, you can't have your vehicle, like it can't have your logo on it, but it's not a sign because it's actually for sale, you know. So it's not a sign, it's for sale. So you can like find these little loopholes to just sidestep their rules. But
yeah, wait, how did that rule go? I was fascinated by that one. Like you figured that one out on something.
Oh, so in Keene, you can't have what they call a trailer sign. And a trailer sign, like
meaning a painted side of a trailer or something like that.
Exactly, the way they define it,
parked in front of your business, kind of thing.
Yeah. So, like in theory, like if you have a truck, you know, you can't like let's say have I don't know.
Okay, I got you.
You can't have like a business name on it, but there's an exception if you sell goods out of it. So you could.
That's right.
So what I figured is, I'm going to put one item for sale in it, and like
I'm selling gumballs, penny gumballs out of the back of my, because you know a lot of businesses they have those fancy decaled cars with their business names on them, and they'll park them as advertising in some location, maybe in a parking lot, maybe downtown.
And it's a workaround because of the sign ordinances in a lot of cities are super restrictive. So if you just have your sign on your vehicle, then that's in some places a way to get around.
Yep.
So our toll-free number, if you want to share your thoughts on the hoverboard, you're welcome to do that. We've also got a kind of a disturbing story. TJ is going to share with us about Tor, which is the anonymizing system. Yeah, the onion router on the internet, and it's pretty big news. We'll share that with you coming up. You can also join us and bring up whatever's on your mind at 855-450-FREE, 855-450-3733. Join us here on Free Talk Live.
Silver has always been nature's very own antibiotic, and only one system allows you to produce an endless supply of nano-sized silver solutions right from the convenience of your home. Silver Lungs. With the addition of our unique lung delivery system, respiratory infections are targeted directly, where traditional oral administration simply cannot reach. This pioneering method also preserves the original particle sizes and delivers your silver solution directly into the bloodstream. See the Silver Lungs generator and lung delivery system at silverlungs.com. That's silverlungs.com.
This is Dan Pilla. Do you owe the IRS money you can't pay? Are tax debts crippling you? I've defended people from the IRS for over 30 years. I've helped thousands, and I can help you too. I wrote the book on IRS settlement, and I'm telling you, there's no such thing as a hopeless case. Call 800-34-NO-TAX to finally get free of IRS debt. With the IRS's new programs, there's never been a better time to solve your problem. Call 800-34-NO-TAX. That's 800-34-NO-TAX, or my website, danpilla.com.
Armistice Day, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage celebrated the end of war by putting their money where their heart is, donating the profit of that day's sales to antiwar.com. Roberts & Roberts Brokerage is making this offer again on Bitcoin Black Friday, November 27th. Shop online at rrbi.co on Black Friday, and Roberts & Roberts will donate the profit of the day's sales to antiwar.com. Antiwar.com is committed to exposing that wars abroad become wars at home. Roberts & Roberts has been your trusted source for precious metals for nearly 40 years. They are anti-war and pro-free market. Banks drive wars. Why use their money? Invest in silver, gold, and Bitcoin and exit the corrupt system that enables war. When you're serious about precious metals, shop Roberts & Roberts online at rrbi.co. That's rrbi.co.
This is your Roberts & Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
DVD, books, music, instruments, periodicals, computers, software, electronics, photo, cell phones, office products, home and garden, bed and bath, furniture, kitchen, pet supplies, automotive, hardware, apparel, shoes, jewelry, grocery, healthcare, sports and outdoors, toys, games, used, and more. It's a department store at your fingertips. Shop.freetalklive.com. Get all your shopping done, get a great deal, and a portion of your purchase goes to benefit Free Talk Live when you enter Amazon via shop.freetalklive.com.
Amid the catastrophic economic crisis spurred by Tuesday's release of This Christmas, the new holiday-themed album by John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John, economic experts told reporters today the Christmas CD has quickly plunged the nation into a double-dip recession.
When investors learned that one-time screen couple John Travolta and Olivia Newton-John had reunited after 35 years for an album of timeless Christmas classics, investors had no choice but to pull money from markets immediately. We were already on shaky ground with the collapse of the U.S. subprime mortgage market and the reversal financial crisis in Europe, but consumer confidence plummeted after Americans saw the new album with a picture of Travolta and Olivia Newton-John holding cups of hot cocoa. We believe that when other countries find out the album features a Christmas song that pays tribute to summer nights, we could be looking at a global contagion. This is the blackest day on Wall Street in 2 decades.
This is the Onion News Network.
Listen to LRN.FM on any phone, anytime. 213-493-0309. That's 213-493-0309.
It's Free Talk Live. Got plenty of time for you if you want to join us here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well. The Skype username is LRN.FM. Joining you tonight, it's Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
So you're still welcome to comment on hoverboards or, the prohibition, the purported prohibition that one guy, Casey Neistat, has now basically just thrown back in the police's face. There's all these headlines about how these hoverboards are illegal. In fact, the ABC News story here police confirm that hoverboards are illegal in New York City. They call it one of the hottest toys out there. But in New York City, it could get you a $500 ticket. I think you had said $200.
I said $200. The New York Daily News reported it was a $200 fine.
Well, apparently that is in dispute. So
that's the wonderful thing about the laws. It's so complicated. You just be all like, I thought it was this. It's kind of
whatever they say it is in that moment. And so they are purportedly cracking down, is the claim here, that the Department of Transportation is cracking down. Does the DOT have its own enforcing agents in New York City? Because
I know they have their own taxing authority.
They probably do, because there's like environmental police.
And there's like traffic police there, and like there's an entire division of traffic cops in New York City. But in this case, this guy is going around New York City and literally coming up to the cops on one of these so-called hoverboards and confronting them, and the cops do absolutely nothing about it.
And, the cop seems a little awkward. He's like, yes, they're technically illegal, and he's like, seems embarrassed to say it.
He was actually being really cool about it. He was kind of laughing as he did it.
Yeah, and like, be safe. And I thought, like, they know it's a silly law, but what'll happen is that law will stay there, and the moment you criticize them or do something they don't like, then they're going to use, they'll arrest you or fine you or cite you the moment you become critical of them.
Yeah, and it also could be that, maybe they're smart enough to know not to arrest the guy with the video camera, because, that could be this situation where if the cops are just doing their normal enforcing and they see some regular victim who's just riding their hoverboard without pointing a video camera at them, then they may have the gumption to go ahead and take that person down. For it.
I mean, most cops, I think the reason they become cops is they wanted to arrest violent people like the murderers and the bank robbers and the evil people. And the truth is, most of what they do every day is boring. I mean, they maybe 5% of their job is actually exciting, but most of it's you're dealing with stupid people or drunk people or angry people, and it's not really that much fun. So I thought, like, Ian, when they were arresting you for your ID thing way back when, and I thought, like, I don't know who should be more miserable. Ian, you had like a long face on, but I think the cops were more depressed than you were, because think about it. You became a state trooper, And what are you out doing? You're arresting somebody who didn't change their name properly in the state database. That was what they had to do all day.
I actually asked him about that later. It was like, what are you normally doing with your time? Are you actually going after real criminals? And apparently the guy who was investigating me does go after fraud cases of like actual fraud.
Actual fraud, yeah.
But in my case, that wasn't real fraud.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't know who to feel sorry for in that case, you or them, because they have a very boring job and they're stuck prosecuting people for very silly crimes.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what to make of that.
So tell me, TJ, about Tor and the recent
yes.
attacks on Tor, at least a little while back, somewhat recent.
Somewhat recent. So this is actually, for those of you who don't know, Tor stands for the Onion Router.
Excellent.
And it's a piece of software you can download at torproject.org, and it is free. It was developed by the Department of Defense, but it is now run by a huge volunteer base. And it basically routes your internet traffic through a series of computers throughout the internet. So whenever you access a website, the website you're accessing can't tell where in the world you're accessing it from, because you connect to computer A connects to computer B connects to C connects to the site. And so
that's somehow different from the regular internet, which is your system connecting through router.
Yes, it would be directly visible. Like the website you're visiting would know what IP address you're visiting or what your IP address you're coming from.
Tor obscures that
and
somehow
Tor obscures
in this process.
that. And it allows some very beautiful things. One is anonymous internet browsing. And
allegedly. The claim here is that the anonymity is in question.
And one of the other things it allows is hidden services. So like if you're running a site that promotes certain goods and services that may not be kosher with the government
like
permission
the Silk
people.
Road.
Like the Silk Road. I mean, that's an example. I mean, there are some libertarian activists, maybe you're protesting the government or something in Iran. Actually, believe it or not, 25% of the traffic on Tor is from Iran. It's from Iranian people trying to get information out or get information into Iran through the government censor walls. But anyway, apparently Carnegie Mellon University, they got $1 million. They found an attack against Tor that it's supposed to be really hard to unmask where somebody's coming from if they're accessing your computer through Tor. But they found a way to de-anonymize traffic, to find out your real phone number, your real IP address.
Whoa.
And they sold that information apparently to the FBI. Because here's the thing.
Wait, didn't they do it at the FBI's behest?
Well, that's
do it on their own?
Where it gets a little unclear, because remember, the Fourth Amendment does not protect you from your fellow citizen.
Mm-hmm.
It only protects you from the police. It says the police, if they want to come into your house without your permission, without your consent, and they don't have exigent circumstances, so there's not a woman screaming for her life upstairs, they have to ask a judge for permission, and they have to say, Your Honor, we want to violate Ian Freeman's privacy. We want to go through his personal effects without his permission.
And they have to find something specific. They have to be looking for something specific.
They have to articulate what's called probable cause to a judge and get something called a search warrant. Now, the Fourth Amendment does not apply to private citizens. So James, he can break into your house, he can burglarize your house, and if he happens to find evidence of crime, he can turn that right over to the police.
And they're not obligated, as we've seen with the hoverboards, they don't have to enforce the law against the hoverboard.
They can say...
If they find out that James broke and entered, which is a crime...
It's a burglary, they can say, well, we're not going to prosecute the burglary because it's in the interest of justice to prosecute Ian for, having too many whatevers.
Sort of like how they used a heroin dealer to go after Rich Paul, our friend, for selling pot.
Yeah.
They didn't, they gave the heroin guy a break.
Walk, And if Rich Paul would have wore a wire into the Keene Activist Center and ratted you guys out or set you up in an entrapment thing, he probably would have walked too. But he had a little bit of, I'm not going to do that, and he decided to go to jail rather than rat out his friends. So
he's a hero.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's a little unclear because the FBI cannot come to, if they don't have a warrant to get into your house, they can't come to me and say, hey, TJ, would you mind going through Ian's stuff? We don't have a warrant. We can't go through his stuff, but you have access to his house.
Because then you're an agent.
Then I'm acting as their agent, and now I am bound by the Fourth Amendment as well. So that's where it gets unclear. So in the charging documents that we're looking at, apparently
who's been charged?
Silk Road 2, Blake Benthal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we're going this is one of the things when you go through PACER, the Public Access to Court Electronic Records, and you read all these court documents, you find out little shenanigans the government's pulling. And one of the things they have apparently been doing is the FBI said, we are working closely with a university to link real IP addresses to Tor sites.
Yikes.
And they're using an attack that they developed, and we're paying them $1 million.
Now, wait, just to be clear, are we talking about only the hidden service? So you mentioned these hidden services. These are websites.
Both. They're actually, so one of the things they did is they managed.
Oh, wait. So hidden services and the users of Tor could also be unmasked?
Yes. The users of Tor can be unmasked, and as well as the whoever owns or wherever the hidden service is
now,
located.
before you go on, isn't Tor's response to this, well, we've patched the problem?
They have fixed the problem, and they're incredibly mad because their view is this thing is not being used only for illegal activities. It's mainly being used by people in China and Iran to get around the government censors.
Right.
And by using this attack, it put a lot of people's lives in danger.
At risk.
And it sets a bad precedent as well to use government money. So this is actually another ethical issue. The universities are heavily in bed with the government. The government already has a stranglehold over K through 12 education in this country. If you run a public school, you need the government's permission, and you need to teach whatever they say you need to teach. Universities were one of those places where you could still go and learn things that could be controversial, but that's quickly disappearing in this country. In fact,
we've seen a lot of ridiculous stories out of the universities just over the last few weeks. We can continue the Tor discussion. Your thoughts are certainly welcome. Maybe you're a privacy advocate, or maybe you are anti-privacy. You're welcome to share your thoughts here. 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. And you can join us here on Free Talk Live.
Dr. Ngozi Obi is an emerging American author of Nigerian descent who's published 2 novels with an inspirational message. A third is in the works. Her first novel, Love's Destiny, follows Naira, a somewhat naive young woman, in a gripping tale of love lost and found. Her second novel, When Dreams and Visions Collide, follows Fern and friends as they discover what it takes to realize a dream and the true meaning of unconditional love. Dr. Obi's books are available where books are sold and ladyofdestiny.com.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
There are hundreds of silver products on the market today, but there's nothing like the astonishing health benefits of the multi-patented One Silver Solution. Boost your immune system at a great price with our Silver Solution Liquid, starting at $12.95 a bottle. Now available in regular and extra strength. That's half the price of the leading competitors. Call 844-USILVER for your free catalog, or go to OneSilverSolution.com. OneSilverSolution.com. There is only one Silver Solution.
So you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
What if the key to achieving liberty in your lifetime was to move together with others who think like you? Liberty activists are joining the Free State Project, which is over 85% of the way to its goal of 20,000 participants. And they're already making the move to New Hampshire. The successes are piling up and are proving the Free State Project is a real movement and no longer just a great idea. When you're planning your move, consider Keene. Keene is famous for its civil disobedience and non-cooperation, and there's plenty of political opportunity as well. If you're a regular reader of freekeene.com, you know there's a lot going on in Keene. Keene is the liberty media capital of the world, with television, talk radio, and more, all originating here. Though it's more than just activism, with regular social events each week. See what's happening at freekeene.com and get connected with video, audio, free books, a forum, and activist tools you can download and use in your area at freekeene.com. That's freekeene.com.
The 3 most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share 1 episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, Buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3. Give $5 a month to the AMP program. It's my firm belief that Free Talk Live's AMP program is the best use of your charitable dollar among liberty-oriented organizations. Support all the organizations you love, but make sure you give $5 a month to AMP at amp.freetalklive.com. I love My Magic Mud. I drink a lot of coffee. I had stains on my teeth. Then I found My Magic Mud, and I was told it would remove stains. So I paid attention when I brushed the first time. My Magic Mud is black tooth powder, and the difference it made in my teeth in one application was noticeable. With 4, my teeth were as white as you normal folks out there. Please go to mymagicmud.com and buy a jar. There's 150 applications for $25. You can use Bitcoin, mymagicmud.com.
If you enjoy LRN.FM, please contribute to your favorite shows via their websites and become an amplifier at amp.lrn.fm. That's amp.lrn.fm.
You can join us here on Free Talk Live. You can bring up anything that's on your mind. It doesn't have to be about the not-so hoverboard being made apparently not really that illegal in New York City, at least according to one guy with a video camera riding around on one in front of the police. There's that. Also, Tor, the
onion router.
The onion router, which is it doesn't really explain what it is. It's an anonymizing system for the internet that apparently some of its anonymity was cracked by researchers at Carnegie Mellon University. And ultimately, Tor not so happy about that, pointing out that cracking an anonymity of Tor would mean that people who are, in repressive regimes who are trying to get the word out, like in Iran, you said, TJ, 25% of
about
Tor
25% of the traffic coming
Iran.
From Iran, yes.
And somehow you're able to. How do you figure that out when Tor is supposedly obscuring people's
generally
data?
Like, for example, I used to run a Tor node, and so we would look at the traffic. If I was an exit node, people were using my internet. Somebody somewhere in the world, their connection would get routed to my computer in the middle of Illinois, and it would then be looking at a website, and I would just look at what were people looking at. So I didn't
fascinating.
I didn't know who was doing the looking. I just knew somebody in the world was looking at this stuff.
Yeah.
And the stuff, like about 25% of it would be Arabic or Farsi, and that's how I calculated my number.
And what are you looking at? Just the URLs as they're sort of going by in real time?
The URLs, like it'll show the TCP/IP connections in real time, and it'll show pictures. So like there was one Russian guy looking at a used car, and you're kind of like, well, I wonder why he's using Tor to do this. Like, obviously he feels a need for privacy because Tor is kind of slow. It's hard to use.
Right, because you're hopping through multiple
you're going three computers.
And those computers, may just be someone on their cable modem connection or whatever.
And they mixes your connections with other connections. And the whole idea is that not even the NSA, I mean, one of the things Snowden showed in his leaked documents is that NSA has not been able to crack Tor in general. They hate it. But
Carnegie Mellon did?
Well, the thing is, it works. It only works in certain circumstances.
The actual
use.
Reveal,
and
if you will.
The reveal that they did wouldn't work for the NSA. NSA would want to spy on everybody. This allows you to spy on a very specific site, and it only works a certain fraction of the times.
So wait. Okay, so you would have to try to de-anonymize a specific site, and then you would have access to the people visiting the site as well?
Yes, you could get access to their actual IP address, the real IP address that they're accessing from. And so Silk Road 2, which was the successor to Silk Road 1, the online marketplace, kind of like an eBay for illegal goods.
Yeah.
Now, a lot of people might be thinking, well, isn't this a good thing that the police were able to shut down a drug market?
No, that's a terrible thing.
Well, I agree with you,
but it's a boon to mankind.
I would say even if you're the kind of person who disagrees with, say, you think the war on drugs is a good thing, you think all drugs should be illegal, and I would say, well, privacy is like a car. You can use a car to rob a bank and use it as a getaway vehicle, or you can also use a car to drive from point A to point B. And privacy is like that. You can use privacy for good and bad things, and the ability to go from point A to point B without being tracked, or the ability to buy something from another person on the internet without being tracked, it's not good or bad. It depends on the intentions of the person. And I believe that as humans, the people that are good far outnumber the people that are bad. And so that's why I think things like cars and guns and anything else that can be misused for evil, because so many of us are actually fundamentally good, it actually does more good to have guns in the hands of good, honest, nice people than it does to ban them because some evil people might have them. And the same is true for Tor. Sure, anonymity can be used for evil purposes to plan evil deeds. But on the other hand, it allows people to engage in voluntary commerce. And the reason I like these online black market sites is because if before you had to go out on some street corner if you wanted to buy a drug, you didn't know what you were getting. And now there's no risk of violence. There's no risk of a drive-by shooting.
None whatsoever.
Also, the feedback thing is huge. If someone sells you some bad drugs and you never see them again, like that's a real problem where if you can say, this guy's a crook, you know, he sold me bad product, I had a really bad experience. There's all kinds of just valuable feedback.
Yeah, you've got an eBay-like feedback rating with people where you can literally write details about what the transaction was like.
Yeah.
And
so,
these guys, even though they're anonymous,
I don't
know who they are. They have a name, you know, Mr. Bojangles or whatever, and then I don't know if there's actually someone using that name, but there might be. And so that person has a rating attached to that name, and if their rating is bad, you don't want to do business with those people.
And actually, it's also like. You know, I don't need to know who a person is to trust them. If I see a person and they've done 1,000 deals and 1,000 people say, this guy followed through on his word, he didn't rip me off, well, then I can be fairly certain that I, as customer number 1001, am also not going to be ripped off. But if this guy decides to go rogue and start selling bad product, or he starts not shipping, or he's shorting people, or he's, you know, doing something evil, people start to complain, and you can see that in the feedback reading where it's like, hey, my package didn't get delivered, or hey, this guy sent me fake stuff.
Yeah, and even if, like, let's say he creates a new account, well, now he has to build all that feedback up.
Yes.
And you can verify, like, oh, this is the same person because their PGP signature.
But yet the government is acting like these underground marketplaces are evil, and
well,
they
thank
need to be
God they stopped them. Yeah, like by arresting Ross Ulbricht and throwing him in prison for the rest of his life.
It was the dumbest thing they could have done because it created another dozen of these imitators.
Yes, because Jeffrey Tucker had this great line. He said, anytime the government tries to shut something down, they just end up being advertising for it.
It's true.
People are listening. Like, we found Ross Ulbricht. Thank God we caught him because he misused his email address.
Yep.
And he made $100 million over the course of 2 years. And you know that people are listening to this going, $100 million, you say? And all he did was make one little tiny mistake? And, that you realize, oh, yes, right now there are like at least 10 or 15 other counterfeits or copies to Silk Road out there. And
some better than others.
And it's really fascinating to watch the government get ticked off. They can't shut it down.
Yeah, when was the last time they did a shutdown? I know there was like a multi-strike kind of raid.
Operation Onerous.
Is that what it was called?
Yeah, it was Anonymous, something like that.
Anonymous. That's what it was. Anonymous.
And that was
not to be confused with ominous, but similar.
Yeah, and I could actually look it up. I forgot.
They cracked down on like 6 different darknet sites at that time.
It's actually,
but that was what, a year ago?
Yes,
it's been a while.
And it was hypothetically because of this Carnegie Mellon cooperating with the FBI, and because a lot of these sites, were all first on the all were on the same server. So that's how
convenient.
Yes. So apparently there was a black market web server. And all these black market sites were being run from the same server, and they all got taken down. But, this is the wonderful thing about the free market is that the newer markets, they try and solve these problems that the previous market had. And you can buy, every site has its own code of ethics. So some sites, they say, we will not sell stolen credit card numbers because that
won't
is
sell poison.
Crime. We won't sell hitmen,
child porn.
And, of course, the thing I like about the drug market is you can see you can actually see like what drugs are being demanded by the market. You can see the price.
Yeah, that's
you can
true.
see the feedback.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah, and you can also...
And it's not illegal to go on there and look.
Yes.
You can go on any one of these markets.
Can go on there and perfectly legal to look.
Shop around. There's even a search called grams on Tor. If you go, and I don't know what... You can't... With the thing with the Tor hidden sites is you can't just give somebody the web URL because it's a bunch of letters and numbers usually that you couldn't possibly memorize.
Well, what you'd have to do is you'd have to go to torproject.org and you download the Tor browser.
Bundle.
It's just like a Firefox internet web browser.
Yeah, but configured for Tor.
It's configured to use Tor. and it anonymizes your traffic. And then there's a certain site that will always end in .onion. So we have .com, .org, .net, .gov. Well, things that end in .onion are hidden sites.
Meaning you can only access them through the Tor browser. And yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's because not only does the site you're connecting to, they don't know where you're from. You can't tell where that is. Right? So normally when the FBI wants to shut down a site, they just look at, www.freetalklive.com. They go to the ISP and say, we have a search warrant or subpoena. Please tell us what the address of Free Talk Live is being hosted. And they say, it's at, in Keene, New Hampshire.
Thankfully, our site's in Montreal. So
or Montreal,
the FBI
wherever.
can't shut that one down at least as easily.
Yeah.
They could probably call their buddies in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police and
they could do that. But because Tor, nobody can tell where in the world is being hosted, you can't really shut them down. It's possible, but it's very, very difficult.
So the short news here is that the Tor, there was some sort of vulnerability. Carnegie Mellon found it and exploited it, but
for $1 million.
Tor is now claiming
they've patched it. Now, there could be another vulnerability out there that we don't know about, and that's,
And that's the risk you take, right? Like, I mean, the people that are engaging in these online drug marketplaces or whatever it is that's going on the darknet markets or the darknet period, which is sort of a scary name for these
I hate the term
sites.
darknet.
What's a better name for it?
I prefer SecureNet.
SecureNet, okay.
These,
there's risks involved in this. And so God has blessed these people who are taking the risks, who are willing to put their own freedom on the line. Hopefully, they are not doing it from inside the United States, and they're like in some island nation, and they've learned their lesson from Ross Ulbricht living in San Francisco and being easily targeted by the federal government. Because if you're raking in the dough from running one of these underground sites, just go to an island nation and have a little bit more security.
Are your kids spending too much time online? Are they gaming instead of doing homework? Are they on Facebook instead of sleeping? Turn their internet access on or off when you want for free at webcurfew.com. 100% web-based interface means nothing to download, install, or configure. Web Curfew is free and controls any device using your home network without slowing down your internet. Block all adult web content with the click of a button. Don't let the internet raise your kids. Take back control of how and when your home internet is used for free. Visit webcurfew.com.
As a pioneer of the e-commerce movement, Overstock.com is proud to be the first major retailer to accept Bitcoin. Overstock was the first because Patrick Byrne, Overstock's CEO and founder, firmly believes in personal freedom and cryptocurrency. Over the past 16 years, Overstock has furnished over 18 million homes with a diverse line of products to suit everyone's unique styles and preferences. Support Overstock and freedom of choice while enjoying free shipping on orders of 0.211 Bitcoin or more. Ross Ulbricht was convicted in early 2015 of running the infamous Silk Road Underground Market. The Silk Road was a gift to humanity and helped reduce the harms brought on by drug prohibition. For this good deed, Ross has been sentenced to life in prison with no possibility of parole. Now, an appeal is Ross's only chance, and he needs your support. Please visit freeross.org, where you can contribute via various methods, including Bitcoin. Visit freeross.org. That's freeross.org. You can listen to Free Talk Live on the radio, podcast, satellite, webcam, and our live streams. But did you know you can listen to Free Talk Live from any phone, anywhere? Add this number to your phone, 213-493-0308. It's a long-distance call, so make sure you're familiar with your phone's calling plan. The listen lines are airing the latest episode of Free Talk Live 24 hours a day, including our live shows. Call 213-493-0308. That's 213-493-0308.
You're listening to the live edition of Free Talk Live. Hour number 3 is next after the news here on the Liberty Radio Network at LRN.FM.
From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, November 20th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.29 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,083 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $323. Antiwar.com reports in a 289-137 vote, largely along party lines, the House of Representatives on Thursday voted to block the admittance of Syrian and Iraqi refugees into the United States. The bill places hugely onerous restrictions on the admittance of such refugees, which is meant to effectively halt the entire process. Under the American Security Against Foreign Enemies Act, every single Iraqi or Syrian refugee who wants to be admitted will need a certification from the FBI FBI director on their background check, as well as 3 different certifications from the FBI director, the Homeland Security Secretary, and the Director of National Intelligence that the individual refugee is not a threat. While in theory this means refugees could still come, in practice it will grind the entire process to a halt, and this appears to be by design, ensuring that no refugees at all are being admitted from either Iraq or Syria, as well as anyone who's ever been to Iraq or Syria in the last 4 years. Since Friday's attacks in Paris, there has been a growing backlash against refugees, particularly among U.S. Republicans. This was based largely on rumors, which turned out to be false, of a refugee being among the attackers. Germany's interior minister said he believes a refugee passport was planted at one of the sites as a false flag by the Islamic State to make things harder for the refugees, and by all indications, that is working. In 1999, Darryl W. Perry began a search for traditional values, which led him down a path to the ideas of liberty. He tells the story in A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty. Find A Rebel's Journey, My Path to Liberty by Darryl W. Perry on Facebook, read reviews on Amazon, ask for A Rebel's Journey wherever books are sold, or visit arebelsjourney.com. UPI reports the nation's largest health insurance provider said Thursday that it will scale back efforts to attract customers under the Affordable Care Act in 2016 and may exit the federal marketplace entirely the following year. United Health Group, which insures about 600,000 people in the government-led program, said the moves are due to higher risk that make it more challenging to turn a profit. United Health is the first major insurance company to indicate it might leave the exchange, which federal officials say will provide coverage for about 10 million Americans by the end of 2016. The company made the remarks as it downgraded its earnings forecast and blamed the Affordable Care Act for giving customers perhaps too much flexibility to change plans, saying those who sign up for coverage are using it too much, which cuts into profits. United Health CEO Stephen Hemsley said on a conference call Thursday, "We see no data pointing to improvement." While the group's exit from the ACA marketplace might be a significant move, some analysts say it would probably make too small a dent to topple the entire exchange. Others say the news may be an indicator of a tough financial climate for President Obama's signature healthcare law. For nearly 40 years, Roberts & Roberts Brokerage has been a trusted source for buying and selling precious metals like gold and silver. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and have permanently removed the minimum purchase amount for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Roberts & Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on buying and selling precious metals and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 800-874-9760 or visit online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports U.S. health regulators on Thursday cleared the way for a type of genetically engineered Atlantic salmon to be farmed for human consumption, the first such approval for an animal whose DNA has been scientifically modified. 5 years ago, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration first declared the product, made by Massachusetts-based Aqua Bounty Technologies, to be as safe as conventional farm-raised Atlantic salmon. The FDA said on Thursday that Aqua Bounty's product will not require special labeling because it is nutritionally equivalent to conventional farm-raised Atlantic salmon. Aqua Bounty developed the salmon by altering its genes so that it would grow faster than traditional farm-raised salmon, and expects it to take about 2 years to reach consumers' plates as it works out distribution. The fish is essentially Atlantic salmon with Pacific salmon genes for faster growing and a gene from the eel-like ocean pout that promotes year-round growth. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.
McDonald's is now offering bereavement prices, and a sexual predator gets tenure. This is the Onion Week in Review. This Wednesday, Samsung announced the release of its brand new really big television. Representatives for the South Korean electronics manufacturer told reporters at a press conference that the gargantuan of an electronics product boasted a variety of new features, including being super heavy and having a screen that was probably 100 inches wide for all they knew.
We here at Samsung think this new product will appeal to today's consumers who are looking for a television that's really, really huge. I mean, this thing is built like a Mack truck. You just really have to see it to believe it.
In other news, an important decision is sent up to the company's highest idiot. And an area mother doesn't see why Thai people need to make food so spicy. Today's Onion Review was sponsored by Bamboo Garden, voted the best family-owned Chinese restaurant in Idaho for 5 years running.
This is the Onion News Network.
Free Talk Live.
It's Free Talk Live, and you can join us here. Our toll-free number is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've got Skype as well, so you can join us there. Skype username is LRN.FM. With you tonight, you've got Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
And TJ, you were just telling us about the Tor anonymizing system for the internet. People who aren't familiar, if you want to learn more about it, there's a great article on Wikipedia, and I'm sure other places as well, that'll explain it to you and how it works. But it's for years now been doing a pretty good job of protecting people's anonymity online. People who need to use various different services without revealing who they are. There are a lot of reasons why people would use Tor. And you can try it out by using the Tor browser bundle, which you can download from the Tor
Torproject.org, correct?
Torproject.org, and that'll get you started. And then there's like directory sites that show you all kinds of different things that are available on Tor, all the way from the questionable to the legitimate. And it's an interesting world, and there's a lot to explore there. But one of the things that we were getting into was the darknet markets, as they're called. And as you pointed out, you don't like the term darknet.
Yes, because that sounds sinister and like they're hidden. And I mean, dark, like, oh, you have to shine a spotlight on them. And I said, well, you can access them. Like anybody can go out there and look at them right now. It's just you can't tell where in the world their web server is.
Correct.
And so that allows people to sell things that otherwise couldn't be sold because the police could come and stop them. But, and this is the thing I like to point out, suppose the government of Iran disapproves of your anti-government message. Well, the government of Iran can't shut that down either. I mean, nobody can shut Tor down because it's all volunteer computers linked to volunteering their thing. And it's this essence of not being able to shut it down, not being able to tell where it's located, who's accessing it. It's kind of like putting a big flyer up in the middle of town square that nobody can cover up or paint over.
Now, you said at one point that you were running an exit node.
Yes, I was.
And it's my understanding that of the nodes on Tor, there are different types.
Yeah.
The exit node is where the traffic that's going to the regular internet, because on Tor you can access hidden sites and you can access the regular internet.
Yeah.
And so when someone wants to go to a regular internet site, they have to exit Tor at one of these exit nodes.
There are three
and that puts you at risk, right? Like that's a risky thing to do because that's your internet connection under TJ's name that is going and accessing who knows what.
Yes.
In some cases, it could be illegal things that those people are accessing, which means that if the federal government is looking for that information, they may be monitoring that location, and then they'll come back to TJ and say, TJ, it looks like
you've been accessing kitty porn, or like actually that has
even though
happened.
It wasn't you.
Yes, correct. There have been a few cases. So one high school student sent a bomb threat to the police department, threatening to blow up his school through Tor, and the police bust down some grandma's house that she didn't know she was running Tor because her grandson was running Tor.
Not the same kid.
Yeah, not the same kid. Some different person. And one computer expert in Germany, he had his whole house raided because allegedly they traced some child pornography downloads to his computer, but it actually turned out he was running a Tor node.
But does that get you out of it? I mean, what has happened with those cases?
Usually it's a pretty straightforward matter. They seize your computer. They see, there's no child pornography on your computer, and you are running a Tor node. And by the way, outside of the damage to the door, most of the cases are dismissed. So, but you're talking out of...
And you lose your computer for a year or whatever, right?
Here's my way of looking at it. Since I am a mathematician and computer engineer, there are about 6,000 volunteers running the Tor network right now.
Okay.
And out of that, in all the time it's been running, I can think of less than 10 cases where someone has been falsely or wrongly accused
for the exit node
for being an exit node. So you figure
how many exit nodes are there? Do you know
6,000 or so.
Oh, okay. So there's more nodes that are not exit nodes, though, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So you have three kinds of nodes. Entry nodes, that's where you are wanting to browse the internet. You connect to the Tor network, and it's your first step. You have a middle node, and so and you have an exit node. And so the entry node talks to the middle node talks to the exit node talks to the internet. And the reason this is important is that it takes at least two people to figure out who you are. So the entry node only knows you, and it knows you're talking to the middle node. The middle node only knows that the entry node is talking to the exit node, and the exit node only knows that the middle node is talking to some website on the internet.
Couldn't the feds run an entry node and figure out who all those people are or what they want to do?
They could figure out if they're running an entry node, they could figure out who's connecting to Tor, but they couldn't figure out where the traffic's going because it's going to some middle node. And it's getting mixed at every step of the way.
So they don't know the requests. They don't know what the requests are that they're passing along.
In order to break the full communication path, you would have to control all three nodes.
I see.
There's a couple of mathematical things. This is a lot of theoretical research that we go into. We don't want to get too well, it'd be kind of boring, but it's like a bunch of nerds get together, get a few beers, we start talking about communication transient attacks and entry guard attacks, and we get really deep into it.
I say God bless those nerds. Thank them. I thank them so much for the hard work that they're doing.
And Bitcoin, you look at Bitcoin.
Well, that's where I want to go next with this is Bitcoin, because it ties into these underground marketplace websites. But first, let's go to Chris. He is in New Jersey, I'm sorry to say. Chris, you're on Free Talk Live.
Yeah, hi. So I just kind of wanted to mention and bring up the fact that the reason why Torkin Services isn't working, and it's not or it's not working so well. And yeah, it was because of the researchers found some the way they went about it was sort of malicious. But the ethics of it, they should have revealed the flaws to the Tor.
You're talking,
project.
just to clarify, you're talking about Carnegie Mellon University. They were paid over $1 million by the FBI for their work in cracking some of the anonymity of Tor. That's what you're referring to.
Right, exactly. And some of the reasons that they were able to do this comes down to the fact that the Tor project has not been able to work on improving the Torkin services. It's always been a weak spot as far as Tor is concerned. And part of the reason for that is because they don't have they get their funding from various sources, but those sources don't necessarily have an interest in Torkin services. They have an interest in other aspects of Tor. For example, maybe it's a dissident group or something that this other organization is trying to improve support for anonymity and so forth. That doesn't necessarily those particular people don't necessarily need hidden services because they can set up a site in the United States. So what they're more interested in is the anonymity of the people using Tor as end users. So this is basically part of the problem. And what we need to do is we need to get people to basically contribute, and other people and entities who may have more of an interest in Torhin services. One of the things the Tor project has been trying to do and is going to be doing a big push for soon is to diversify their funding so that it's not all coming from basically a small set of sources. So one of the issues
that's important.
Yeah. By the way, I've given my $100 this year, so don't turn the guilt screws on me, sir.
No, I'm not trying to turn the guilt screws on you.
No, he's just talking about
I was just joking, sir. Yeah.
Yeah, good. Anybody, I'd love to turn the guilt screws on anybody who's not currently participating or contributing in some way, but nonetheless.
Especially if they're using Tor, or like if they're going to some Silk Road type marketplace and buying stuff and they're not contributing to Tor, so they're benefiting and they're not paying in, those people are leeches. And so those people need to kick $100.
You've guilted me into it. I have used Tor.
Yeah,
and I have not. I'm not saying what I did with Tor, but
yeah, you're not saying what you did with Tor, but you've used Tor and it helped you, and you did not donate to these people to help run their bandwidth and their servers and write this code.
I have actually. Well, now wait a minute. I have actually run a Tor node for a short period of time.
Okay, so that's a little. You're not a complete mooch.
What about this argument? If you just use Tor, you're contributing because
you're not. Because
you're adding more traffic.
But that's not contributing because you're not you're taking the resources from the network. You're not adding to it. If you're running a node,
the more
then
people
you're
on the
adding
network, though, the more anonymous it is. There's more traffic.
Not the end users.
You could kind of make that out. That's kind of a weak argument. That's like
yeah,
isn't that what the DOT?
Sort of right. There is some sort of logic in there. The more users there are, the more anonymous it is.
I get what you're saying, like a busy road or something like that.
We're also slowing the network down.
Yeah,
so
that's true. Although I've noticed that over the years, I think there's more participants because Tor has gotten a lot faster over the years. Thanks, Chris, for your call tonight. I appreciate it. So Bitcoin. this ties into this conversation, especially when it comes to the darknet marketplaces, because Bitcoin is sort of the currency of choice for these underground markets. I think I should use underground markets instead. But is it only for crooks and cheats? We'll look into that on Free Talk Live.
I'm Steve Sidkowski, a former Wall Street insider. Right now, I'm holding a book that could change your life. It will show you investing strategies which could help you earn the kind of money you've always dreamed about. And right now, I'm giving this book away for free. So who needs to read it? If you're in the middle of your career and you worry you'll never have enough money to retire, you need to read this book. If you're already retired and your income isn't enough, you need to read this book. And if you don't want to be selling burgers at the age of 80, well, you need to read this free book. The reality is, you'll need at least $1 million to ever fully retire. If you're behind on that goal, you really need to read Trade Like the Pros. And you can for free by calling 1-800-505-6991. Are you skeptical that it will deliver results? It's a free book, so what do you have to lose? Find out how at 1-800-505-6991. That's 1-800-505-6991. 1-800-505-6991.
My name is Bill Bonner, and I have an important message. Right now, the highest levels of government are struggling against an inevitable crisis, but they're about to lose control. When this happens, it will rip our country apart in ways you never imagined. From where we shop to the family you want to protect. Look, I've made predictions like this before. A few years ago, I warned that the housing prices would collapse. Before that, I warned that .com companies would crash, and they did. Those who listened had a chance to save themselves. But this has nothing to do with the stock market. This will affect us all. I've posted a free video at disappearingwealth.com. Maybe you'll disagree with my conclusions, but first you need to watch this video and see the facts for yourself. You can watch the video for free right now by going to disappearingwealth.com. Again, that's disappearingwealth.com.
Since time began, tyrants have taken aim at personal liberties. Now there's a movie that aims back.
The government has no more right to tell us what to put in our bodies than they have to take our guns or tell us what books we can read.
6 drug police were eaten by bears while raiding a marijuana farm.
On your knees, you dirty hippies! Jesus. On your knees! What's the problem, officer?
Today, many cops who enforce pot laws do so only because it provides them with cushy jobs, good benefits, and a chance to push people around.
I was an undercover narcotics officer. The drug war is nothing but a farce.
The Second Amendment says you got to keep you and your gat intact.
Guns and Weed, The Road to Freedom. A film by Michael W. Dean and Nima Vadadi.
DVD available now at gunsandweed.com or on Amazon. That's gunsandweed.com. Makes the perfect gift. Remember, that's gunsandweed.com.
Did you know that you can listen to and watch Free Talk Live during our live show 7 days a week from 7 to 10 p.m. Eastern via our studio cam at cam.freetalklive.com? Not only that, but you can also chat with other listeners at the same time. Do I need to mention that both the studio cam and chat room are totally free? Outside of Free Talk Live's live hours, you won't see a cam feed, but we'll hear audio from the Liberty Radio Network. So listen, watch, and chat all free at cam.freetalklive.com. That's cam.freetalklive.com. So you've signed the Shire Society Declaration and are planning your move to New Hampshire to be around more liberty-oriented people. Next, sign up for the Shire Society Forum at forum.shiresociety.com. There are a bunch of people there who are already in the Shire, and they want to meet you. If you're already in the Shire physically, you should also come by the forums. Remember, not everyone uses Facebook. New people are signing up for the Shire Society Forum every month, so drop in and say hello at forum.shiresociety.com.
You can put the Liberty Radio Network on the air in your area. Visit broadcast.lrn.fm to learn how. Broadcast.lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can join us on Skype. Skype username's LRN.FM. Maybe you want to comment on Tor, the anonymizing system for the internet, or perhaps the underground marketplaces that exist on Tor, like the most infamous of them, the Silk Road. There's like a Silk Road 3 right now, but I don't think anybody in their right mind would trust the Silk Road brand at this point, given that it had been infiltrated by federal agents as of Silk Road 1, and then from the very beginning of Silk Road 2, the same agent that infiltrated the first Silk Road was there to found the second one, and so the third one, I don't think anyone.
Well, I've already got the trademark for Silk Roads 4, 5, 6, and 7.
Do you now?
Yeah. I can set those up.
Do they have trademarks for onion sites? I don't think so.
Well, yeah, whoever can create the SSL certificate. So that's what's so great about it is how do you know you're talking to the real Silk Road website as opposed to a fake? And that was a beautiful math problem they solved that I will not go into this radio show. We're not geeky enough here.
No doubt. Maybe you should have like a geeky show, TJ. You're pretty good at doing this talk radio.
Yeah, it would be kind of interesting.
So Foundation for Economic Education has a piece here that is addressing a question: is Bitcoin only for crooks and cheats? Because not only do you have the issue with the underground marketplaces using Bitcoin, and that, sort of in some people's eyes makes Bitcoin look bad. Now there are headlines that ISIS is using Bitcoin. And so
that didn't take long.
I'm sure ISIS is using U.S. dollars, too.
You're damn right they're using all kinds of other currency, whatever currency they can get their hands on.
And they're using cars and TVs and computers and a whole bunch
of Toyota trucks, apparently. Over there.
I saw a thing that criminals were
terrorists.
using Tide laundry detergent, so, we got to ban that.
That would make a fun commercial. I bet someone's already done it, though.
The number one preferred brand of terrorists around the world, Toyota.
Right. Take clips of things blowing up and terrorists driving around in Toyotas. By the way, I really enjoyed my Toyotas that I've owned. I think they're fine cars. So is Bitcoin only for crooks and cheats? This is a story from William Luther at FEE.org. It isn't every day that University of Chicago economists Eugene Fama and Richard Thaler see eye to eye. Fama, who won the Nobel Prize in 2013, is one of the best-known proponents of the efficient market hypothesis. Thaler, in contrast, champions behavioral economics. Indeed, Thaler spends a great deal of time criticizing the efficient market hypothesis in his recent book, Misbehaving. Both economists, however, seem to be on the same side when it comes to Bitcoin. Commenting on Fama's recent interview with the Bitcoin Uncensored podcast, Thaler tweets, quote, "I must say I agree with Fama here. Only value of Bitcoin seems to be crooks and tax cheats. Negative social value." Fama and Thaler are not alone. Many regulators worry that absent sufficient government oversight, cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin will be used to conduct illegal transactions and transfers on a massive scale. For example, Senator Joe Manchin has claimed that the, quote, clear ends of Bitcoin are for either transacting in illegal goods and services or speculative gambling, unquote. Likewise, Senator Charles Schumer has
I was like, where's Chucky boy?
Has described Bitcoin as a, quote, online form of money laundering, unquote. Some have even warned that Bitcoin might be used to fund terrorism. Like Fama and Thaler, many people outside the Bitcoin community seem to believe that Bitcoin is basically for criminals.
Wait a second. Now, I think Bitcoin adds to the efficiency of the market. I mean, like if you try to go set up a bank account, it's such a hassle. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's just all kinds of inefficiencies that the regulated system has.
Well, when you set up a Bitcoin account, it says the thing that takes the longest with starting a Bitcoin wallet is downloading the software.
Right.
That's what takes the longest period of time. You download the software, it installs, you open it, you usually are asked to set a passcode on most of them, like a 4-digit code, and that's it. You have your Bitcoin wallet, you can start receiving and sending Bitcoin.
I mean, like I had a bank account, even though I had money in it, they said, well, due to inactivity, we've closed it. So, I mean, it's like, okay, it's just like all these little annoying things. Now I got to go to the bank and sit there an hour and, reopen it. And, it has to be a new number. And it was just a bunch of nonsense.
And my other little favorite thing is, say you get a paycheck or something, $2,000. They're like, well, we can only give you $100 today. You got to wait 7 business days before the entire amount clears. And I'm like, the wonderful thing about Bitcoin, in 10 minutes, your transaction is cleared. It can be anywhere in the world. There's no dollar limit. So, I mean, good luck trying to take $10,000 of U.S. currency through customs into Canada.
Oh, my, they're going to...
Oh, well, that would be lucky if they'll bend you over, give you an X-ray, or why do you have all this money? It's like, none of your business why I have all this money. I'm on a vacation. Maybe I'm just paying in cash. But no, we got to know why you have all this money. And yeah, so it's just it has so many advantages. You can take as much as you want anywhere. Nobody knows that you have it.
Well, therefore, it's obviously for criminals.
Yes. Well, cash is for criminals, gold is for criminals. A lot of things are for criminals. I mean, so it's not anything. It's a wonderful form of commerce that.
I mean, even in jails, there's markets. I mean,
sure,
cigarettes. That's the base unit of a currency.
Like, I was only in jail for 2 days, but some dude was showing me like his store, and like you can buy stuff for stamps. Yeah, he was like,
tell us about the stamp market in jail.
Yeah,
James.
it's kind of fascinating. Like, there's this Muslim guy. He was a dock worker. He ended up getting. So he was in jail because
This was here in Keene?
No, this was in Virginia.
Oh, okay. Virginia.
So he refused to pay child support because his son was 22, even though the judge ordered him to. He said, well, I'm not paying because my son's grown up, and I paid for, I don't know, over a decade.
But he was probably in college, so that's where he was having to continue to pay. But go ahead.
I think so, yeah. And so the guy, to support himself, he's like, well, I lost my job. I'm in jail for, 6 months or whatever. So he basically, he would buy things at their little store. And then they have something called indigent packages. So people with no money, they get like, a couple, envelopes with stamps on them. And basically he would sell them, ramen noodles and whatever nonsense. And then he would take those envelopes, he'd mail them to his wife. His wife would go cash them at the postal service. So he basically figured out a little, economy.
Yes. I mean, so you think about it, you sell a 25-cent brick of ramen noodles for a forever stamp, which is 49 cents. And so that's profit. Everyone's benefiting. So I think that's a marvelous idea. I always love the solutions that the free market comes up with.
Well, it's not the free market, but it's a market operating in restricted conditions, and markets are very resilient, even in restricted conditions. So, it's the news, though, really, that I think is making people think Bitcoin is for criminality. If all the news reports on about Bitcoin is the takedown of Silk Road and the other underground marketplaces, and then, mentioning ISIS ostensibly using Bitcoin, if these are the headlines about Bitcoin, and they're not the only headlines, there are some that are more like financial oriented, but like as far as the major news is concerned, if it always has to do with people getting brought up on criminal charges, then you can understand why people would think that. But as FEE.org points out, those people are wrong. To date, the black market transactions that trouble these economists and others have been quite limited. Consider the Silk Road, the premier Bitcoin for drugs website in operation from February 2011 through October of 2013. The best available evidence suggests there were roughly 1.2 million worth of transactions made on the Silk Road each month. More recent estimates put the figure at roughly 4.7 million per month. That modest figure hardly made Silk Road the Amazon of drugs, as Gawker once claimed. Amazon averaged roughly 6,204 million per month. So
that's a 600 billion.
It's a lot of transactions.
Million, billion, trillion.
Yeah. Per month in 2013. That's more than 370 times the highest monthly transaction volume estimated for the Silk Road. Silk Road was not even the Etsy of drugs. Etsy with 112 million per month. Let's continue here and talk about what Bitcoin is really used for. The toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE, and we should probably explain what Bitcoin is. It's a amazing decentralized currency not issued by any government or any bank. We can continue, and you can join us here at 855-450-FREE.
A revolution in body protection has arrived only at FortressSurvivalLLC.com. Introducing the revolutionary patented Level 3 Bulletproof Vest. 100% Kevlar, 100% American-made. Concealable, fully adjustable, and the lowest price on the market. Adult size normally $289.99, now just $250. Kid size normally $239.99, now just $200. Get affordable protection with a Level 3A Bulletproof Vest from FortressSurvivalLLC.com. For thou art my rock and my fortress. Psalm 31:3.
Hi, I'm Rick Ossick with Famous Footwear. Did you know that premature birth is the #1 killer of babies? That's why we support the March of Dimes in the fight against premature birth. Join us in supporting cutting-edge research, treatment programs, and outreach to help moms have full-term pregnancies and healthy babies. Learn how you can help save babies' lives at marchofdimes.org.
A congressman recently revealed that legislation totaling 2,900 pages and involving more than $1 trillion was available to members of Congress for less than 48 hours to study and consider. That's over 60 pages of legislation per hour. Do you think anyone read the entire bill? I'm Jim Babka with DownsizeDC.org. Consider a proposal buried in a 3,200-page, $388 billion bill, which would have empowered committee chairmen or their agents to examine Americans' tax returns. When this horrible provision came to light, no one claimed to know how it got into the bill. One congressman questioned said, "I didn't write it, I didn't approve it, I wasn't even consulted." If your attorney represented you this way, he might be disbarred. But this is how Congress represents you every day. That's why DownsizeDC.org has created the Read the Bills Act. You can force Congress to read their bills before they pass them at DownsizeDC.org.
SWCPoker.eu is Bitcoin Poker 2.0, where players can buy chips, play, and cash out anonymously with Bitcoin. No banking, just Bitcoin. Texas Hold'em, Omaha Hold'em, Draw, and many new games, including Chinese poker. SWC Poker gladly accepts players worldwide, and over 2 million hands of Bitcoin poker have been dealt at SWCPoker.eu. Bitcoin poker from the brand you trust. SWCPoker.eu.
LRN.FM is proud to announce our official listening apps for Android and iOS devices. Now you can easily tune into our streams anywhere, anytime on your smartphone or tablet. Just visit apps.lrn.fm or search for LRN.FM in the Android or Apple app stores. Please download, rate it 5 stars, then share the link on social media, and let your friends and family know how you're listening to LRN.FM. Download it now, free at apps.lrn.fm. That's apps.lrn.fm.
Why did you move to the Shire?
I moved here to the Shire because there's other people around who take liberty just as seriously as I do.
I moved to the Shire because I saw videos of people challenging authority and thought that I could get support myself. It called to me, like, do this right now.
I wanted to be around people like me who got it, and once I got here, I knew there was nowhere else that I wanted to be.
I've always wanted to change the world, so I moved to the Shire to join people who were actually working towards doing the same thing.
The people here are awesome, loving, and positive. It was for the adventure and for the feeling of something important is happening here, and I just wanted to come to sort of be part of that.
Visit ShireSociety.com to read and sign the Shire Society Declaration and learn the reasons why, if you love liberty, you should immigrate to the Shire. Plus, add yourself to the Shire map at ShireSociety.com. That's ShireSociety.com.
You can connect with the Liberty Radio Network via our Facebook page at facebook.lrn.fm. That's facebook.lrn.fm.
Free Talk Live. Join us right here. Our toll-free number, if you want to join the conversation, is 855-450-FREE. That's 855-450-3733. We've also got Skype at Skype username LRN.FM. Joining you in the studio tonight, you've got Ian,
James,
and TJ the Spy.
Uncovering the secrets and exposing the lies. That's what readers of freedomsphoenix.com get every day. Readers of freedomsphoenix.com are constantly provided the detailed real news that lies between the lines of propaganda and the relationship we have with coercive governments. freedomsphoenix.com offers up-to-the-minute updates on the economy, technology, communications, and the rise of the police state. Go to freedomsphoenix.com. Sign up for their free daily dispatch. That's freedomsphoenix.com. Is Bitcoin only for crooks and cheats, as some of the mainstream media and certainly the old money bankers would like you to believe? Bitcoin, this amazing technology that was released to the world by Satoshi Nakamoto, which no one knows who that is, back in the year 2009, has now been with us for about 6 years and has become arguably the world's most important currency, the world's most valuable currency, currently valued at around $330 per Bitcoin. The Bitcoin can be divided down 8 decimal points. So if you want to buy $1 worth of Bitcoin, that's no problem. You can do that. It's an amazing thing that has been accepted by companies all around the globe. Thousands of companies online, as large as Dell Computer, Overstock.com, Wikipedia, and even mom and pop companies like right here in Keene, New Hampshire. There's a few places on Main Street.
Corner News.
Corner News, a little newsstand kind of store.
I paid when I was 101 thrift stores. I actually paid for like something with Bitcoin.
Yep, as have I. And also there's even a hair salon here in town too. So from mom and pop businesses all the way on up to mega corporations are taking Bitcoin. But yet somehow it's still tarnished with this idea of that it's somehow for bad people. Now, James, I know you wanted to mention something about efficiency, and I'm not sure which area it was in.
Yeah, so I view it as like Bitcoin is so much more efficient. When you cut out middlemen in a market, to me the market operates more efficiently. So Bitcoin cuts out banks, it cuts out all these money transmitters, and
cuts out governments too.
And even in the the quote unquote drug market, like every time you can cut out a middleman, so there's like I don't know how many distribution channels there are if you buy on the street, but it's probably more than if you buy online. So it's like you can get it cheaper, it's safer, it's so much more efficient. Like Bitcoin is efficient in it beats all the existing technologies.
I remember when Bitcoin was getting so I first came aware of Bitcoin like in 2010, and it was like, oh, this is a beautiful math paper. Ha ha, it's really cute, but it'll never take off.
You didn't buy any.
I didn't buy any because I'm like, well, okay, the thing is the math without the infrastructure, the Bitcoin ATMs, the people willing to mine, the stores willing to accept the stuff. I didn't quite put it together. It was an interesting math problem to me. But back then, I remember a lot of people were very hesitant. They said, we want this to have a legitimate name. It's starting to be associated with the Silk Road or the illegal drug market. And the same thing happened with Tor. When Tor was getting off the ground, people were like, well, this could be used by bad people to do bad things, and we need to focus on all the good things, the non-evil, nefarious things that this thing can be used for. And the same was said for cryptography. I remember back in the mid-'90s, we were arguing big time about whether or not citizens should be allowed to have cryptography, this encryption, privacy period.
Mm-hmm.
And the argument that the FBI back in the mid-'90s made was, well, if we allow private citizens to have cryptography, imagine a ticking time bomb scenario where the code to stop the bomb is encrypted and we can't get to it because it's all encrypted. I'm like, well, that's kind of silly because cryptography is mathematics, and you can't ban mathematics.
They'll try.
And so the same is true with Bitcoin. All Bitcoin is mathematics and computer code. Right.
It's someone wrote some words.
Yes. And, we all agree by consensus what those codes are. And so if you have your key, I agree that you can spend whatever Bitcoins are in your account, and it's a public ledger, and they are semi-traceable.
Mm-hmm.
But, it has of course, Bitcoin can be used for illegal things, but it can also be used for legal things.
And so can cash.
But we don't ban. But you can actually see that with the government. They're trying to ban cash. It's like it starts out, well, we're only going to make you report $10,000 or more, and then it'll be $3,000, and then $1,000, and then if you have a money order, you have to have a photo ID, and then if you go into a bank, you have to.
It's gotten more restrictive for sure. I mean, they definitely want to push people towards non-cash methods, but Bitcoin's there and it's there to stay. I mean, that code exists and it's not going anywhere. The network, the Bitcoin network, is thousands of computers all around the globe linked together and cannot be stopped, which is one of the frustrations, I'm sure, for many people in the government and the old money banking systems. But let me get back into the story here from a Foundation for Economic Education, looking at the question of, well, is all Bitcoin transactions or the majority of them for things that are illegal? And they're saying here the Silk Road, of course, is dwarfed by Amazon or even Etsy. One might counter that the volume of transactions on the Silk Road was low because so few people were using Bitcoin at the time. But the volume of transactions on the Silk Road was also small relative to the total volume of transactions conducted in Bitcoin. The monthly transactions volume for the entire Bitcoin system averaged just under 16 billion from February 2011 through October of 2013. That was the time frame that the Silk Road operated. That means that the Silk Road transactions were responsible for a measly 0.03%.
Yeah, I could believe that.
Of all transactions conducted in Bitcoin. In other words, it was not just that few people were using Bitcoin, but that of those who did, few were buying and selling illegal substances on the Silk Road. And at that time, the Silk Road was really all there was. It really wasn't. There was, during its initial run, there was one competitor that cropped up called Atlantis, and they kind of went away relatively quickly. there weren't really any other noteworthy players in the underground marketplace. So 0.03% of all transactions conducted in Bitcoin were done on the Silk Road during its entire reign, if you will. So that's nothing.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you look at cash. You look at the currency transaction report. So if you walk into a bank with $10,000 more in cash, the bank, that's not illegal. The bank will say, okie dokie. They'll take your social security number. They'll fill out a currency transaction report and report you to the IRS. And you know what? The IRS will take that form and ignore it because there's over 16 million of those forms filed on every year.
Every year.
99.97% are on innocent, law-abiding people who are just doing things like the CEO is buying his mistress a Lexus and he's paying $50,000 cash because he doesn't want his wife to find out that he's cheating on her. And so, I mean, you could say that's unethical, but it's not illegal, and so, or even wrong for that matter. I mean, that's a question for an individual to determine. But cash and Bitcoin, I think, the overwhelming majority. Same thing with Tor. When I was looking at most of the stuff I would look at the exit node, it wasn't bombs or child porn. I never saw anything that gave me any alarm. It was actually mostly very boring, like cars for sale or Arabic language websites, but I didn't see anything that said, oh my God, these people who are looking at this through my computer are evil. And that goes back to my belief that most humans are fundamentally decent.
I think all the evidence shows that, because otherwise we'd have all kinds of violence and craziness, and we don't have that.
Right.
What about terrorism, though? Asks FEE.org. The U.S. Treasury Department itself has found no evidence of Bitcoin's widespread use in funding terrorism. Now, that really shouldn't come as a surprise. Terrorist groups have much more convenient ways to secure funding outside of the legitimate banking channels.
PayPal.
Moreover, to the extent that terrorists are located in developing regions, they would encounter the same hurdles to adopting Bitcoin that others in developing countries face. And those hurdles mean if you don't have internet, you don't have Bitcoin. It can be very, very difficult to use Bitcoin in a place with no internet. Now, to be fair, in some countries in Africa, there's a mobile phone provider that is actually allowing people to send and receive Bitcoin with a standard dumb phone, like the old flip phones that we used to have a whole lot of here in the U.S. They've got a lot of those in some parts of Africa, and there is a method of using those to send and receive Bitcoin. But for the most part, the typical day-to-day use of Bitcoin to buy and sell things is relatively hard to do in a place that has no internet access. And, the caves of Afghanistan, for instance, are not going to be a real Bitcoin hotspot. Our toll-free number tonight, 855-450-FREE. More about the bad people using Bitcoin coming up here, and you can share your thoughts with us. 855-450-3733. That's the toll-free number. We also have Skype. Skype on in here to the show. Skype username is LRN.FM. Moments remain, but there's just enough time for your call and thoughts. It's Free Talk Live.
You can control your health care with Liberty Health Share.
Liberty Health Share is like-minded people coming together to share medical costs, which saves money.
You don't even have to pay for procedures that violate your conscience.
Because we all share the same values.
Join the movement of people who share in medical costs and change the way you pay for your health care forever.
Go to libertyhealthshare.org to find out more.
Liberty Health Share.
Together, we're changing healthcare for good. libertyhealthshare.org.
The new 4th edition of Healing Our World, The Compassion of Libertarianism, will take your understanding of liberty to a deeper level and has over 1,300 updated references, new cartoons, and a foreword by Dr. Ron Paul. With discounts for multiple book purchases, the new Healing Our World is a great gift this Christmas for the liberals, pragmatists, environmentalists, and Christians in your life who think libertarianism is cold-hearted. Get yours today at healing.freetalklive.com and use promo code FTL for a $5 discount.
Hey, Berkey Guy here. Are you still drinking unfiltered tap water? Does your water contain chlorine or fluoride? Will you have drinkable water in an emergency? The Berkey Guy is here to help you remove these and other potential contaminants from your water, thus helping you drink clean, purified water. We offer Berkey water purification systems at the lowest available prices online. Don't go another moment without a Berkey system. Over the last 10 years, we've helped thousands drink clean, purified water. Join them by visiting goberkey.com or call me, the Berkey Guy, at 877-886-3653. That's 877-886-3653.
So you you've got to take a state construction license exam or certification. Can't decide on what books or what chapters to study? Discover right now how you can eliminate unnecessary books and wasted study time. At contractorexam.com, our study materials zero in on state-required test topics in an effective, multiple-choice format. So whether you're a plumber, electrician, general contractor, or other construction-related trade, contractorexam.com will help get you prepared. Visit us at www.contractorexam.com today.
So the protection of life, liberty, and property is what the Free State Project is all about. But it's an effort to move 20,000 people who understand.
It's about demonstrating to the entire country
that, yeah, we can have a free market, a truly free market. Making it just a freer, great place to live.
It's the world's largest voluntarist libertarian community, and it's only getting bigger.
That's amazing, to be able to move to a place where other people passionately believe in being free and independent.
What the Free State Project is managing to do, though, is to put their money where their mouth is. It's physically getting up across the country and saying, let's go someplace and let's demonstrate the power of these ideas. There's a lot of kind of philosophy that surrounds liberty. There's a lot of thinking about it and talking about it. But here in New Hampshire, people are doing it.
101 Reasons Liberty Lives in New Hampshire, a documentary by Free State Project Early Movers. Watch it free at 101reasonsfilm.com. 101reasonsfilm.com.
The three most important things you can do for Free Talk Live are: 1, share one episode a week on Facebook or in some other social networking site. 2, buy the things you buy online through shop.freetalklive.com. 3, give $5 a month to the AMP program. You likely buy all kinds of things online. Amazon is the largest online retailer. You can get what you need at the same prices with free Super Saver shipping by going to shop.freetalklive.com. Please do your online shopping at shop.freetalklive.com.
This is your Robertson Roberts Brokerage Daily Precious Metals Update. In early trading Thursday, gold is even at $1,082 per ounce. Silver is 2 cents lower at $14.31 per ounce. Bitcoin is trading at $322 US. We have the lowest priced Australian spiders and koalas I've seen on the web. If you find them cheaper, we'll match that price and ship for free. Give us a call at 800-874-9760 or visit us online at rrbi.co.
While our satellite channel is free to listen to, it's not free for us. You can help us cover our satellite costs with the chip-in on the right side of the page at lrn.fm.
It's Free Talk Live. You can dial in toll-free and join us here in the remaining moments. Is Bitcoin only for criminals? Well, the numbers show not even close. 0.03% of all Bitcoin transactions between February of 2011 and October of 2013, the time when the Silk Road was very, very popular, was only 0.03% of all transactions were done on the Silk Road. So almost nobody in comparison to the full Bitcoin marketplace, which is, buying and selling all kinds of different things all around the world. And there's also no evidence really that terrorism is being funded by Bitcoin. In fact, the U.S. Treasury Department itself has found no evidence of that, according to FEE.org, or at least no evidence of widespread use in funding terrorism. We can continue with that, but your calls and thoughts can come first here. Let's go to Tom, listening in Baltimore. Tom, you're on Free Talk Live with Ian James and TJ the Spy.
Hi, guys.
Hey, Tom.
Great show tonight.
Thanks.
I like the math guy. You notice the show has had a real kind of intense, serious tone, although informative and light at the same time. So I've been kind of glued to it. I hope you have him on again.
I
wanted to ask him. Great. I wanted to ask him about the investigation relative to Tor. I'm very curious about what seems to be a rather unholy, if not completely illegal, relationship between the FBI and the university, who apparently was given quite a bit of money for their efforts, correct?
We really don't know, because that's the thing is I hate to speculate. I try and consider myself part journalist, and so all we know is, I have a PACER account, public access to court electronic records, where all the federal dockets come in, and I read the various Vice News and Motherboard. But I do know that the FBI, in one of their affidavits in support of probable cause, said, we have worked with academic researchers to help unmask various Tor users, but they didn't elaborate too much more. And the defense counsel is motioning for discovery to try and find out.
But wait, where'd the $1 million thing come from?
That has been reported on Vice News and
so the claim was
Wired.
that the FBI paid Carnegie Mellon's University $1 million for this research.
Like the thing is, the allegation it's Carnegie Mellon, and if I could read between the lines, being a former government employee, I would probably say that maybe the FBI gave $1 million as a research project to help discover vulnerabilities, and maybe that is a way to help. That's the thing is we don't really know why, how, and we'll have to wait until this comes out a little bit clear. Right now, we're just finding this is like less than a month old, and it's just a lot of speculation right now.
Yeah, it doesn't sound to me as though they entered into that relationship with clean hands.
Of course not. It's the FBI.
And in that regard, if they were actually conspiring with the university in order to meet a specific end, and they're concealing that, and this great amount of money was exchanged, they would actually, I would interpret that to be a violation of the RICO Act and several other laws.
Well, this wouldn't be the first time. I mean, so like one of the things the Snowden documents revealed was parallel construction from the DEA. And so, for example, the NSA, one of their missions is counter narcotics. We intercept communications from drug lords all throughout South America.
Please stop saying we. You don't work for them anymore,
well,
right?
Okay. Hypothetically, the agency that I used to work for would do that. And then you pass the information on to the DEA, and the DEA would say to the state trooper, look for the red Toyota with license plate 428.
Now, that was illegal, right?
Oh, yeah,
Passing that
absolutely. That's
information.
illegal. Yeah. That's, of course, because you're going to say...
Highly illegal. In fact, were you complicit in that? Did you realize what you were doing?
The thing is, like when I did counter narcotics, mine was strictly technical. They said, here's this, find that, and, decrypt it. So all I had was some ones and zeros, and they said, what does it say? And I was like, okay. So, the thing is, obviously, we're told you can't do this, you can't do this, you can't do this. But if somebody does it and I don't know about it, well, I can't. I mean, like, I could say at the time I had my really strong suspicions. I'm like, well, the only thing keeping the government from breaking the law is their word they won't break the law.
Yeah, it hasn't worked out real well.
And generally, there's just so much incentive. So a lot of DEA agents, you have to look at it from their perspective. If you're a DEA agent and you want to get that promotion, how do you get promoted? You got to make cases. And how do you make cases? You get a bust. And so there's this great source, this oracle of information called the NSA that's saying, hey, there's going to be a major 5 keys of cocaine. It's going to be traveling by this Toyota Tacoma pickup. Pull it over, find a reason to pull it over, and then invent a reason later. Mm-hmm. And if the guy takes a plea deal, great, because then you never have to reveal the fact that whole discovery was tainted.
Yeah.
And that's actually been a little interesting. So sometimes the U.S. attorney will be like, well, this anonymous informant, who was it? And the DEA agent says, I can't really say, well, I got to know who it is. And then the U.S. attorney finds out, they're like, well, if this guy doesn't take a plea deal, we're going to have to drop the case.
Yeah,
because I can't go before a federal judge and lie and violate Brady versus Maryland and not disclose that this information was illegally obtained with a FISA warrant.
So this is good reason to never take a plea deal and to actually look at the evidence against you whenever they charge you.
Well, I can tell you that if you always take the plea deal, a lot of these things that the government does, they get uncovered when a person doesn't take the plea deal, and then they have to fess up about what they did. And so,
Tom, any other thoughts on this?
Yeah, well, let me just throw in that anytime you find yourself in the federal court, the deck is very much stacked against you.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, right down to if you even go to trial, your lawyer's not even going to be able to properly instruct the jury. I've seen that happen so many times that it makes for such an unlevel playing field among many of the other criminal violations that are occurring there. Let's face it, they're not that good that they have a near 100% conviction rate. It's not that high. I think it's around 95, but that's still outrageous. They're not that good, and we're not that criminal as a society. They're actually breaking the law. That's a system that really needs to be reformed from the top
and
down.
I don't blame anyone for taking a plea, especially in the federal system, because they do, nail you to the wall if you don't take the plea deal, and then you get found guilty in court. Tom, thanks for the call tonight. I appreciate hearing from you. Let's talk to Nathan. He's in Texas on Skype. Hello, Nathan. You're on with Ian, James, and TJ the Spy.
Hey, guys. I wanted to give a ditto with the last caller that I really love TJ the Spy on today. He seems like he seems like a real nerd, but the good kind, the one who knows a lot of
Well,
stuff.
I was a mathematician for the three-letter agency. In fact, I gave Ian as a gift mug. It's from the NSA gift shop. It is an official National Security Agency mug. I'll give it to Ian so he can actually show it to the webcam there. And
okay.
Yep, you can actually get those from the NSA gift shop right off at 9800
No,
Savage.
you can't. You have to work there, right? These aren't available to the public.
They've actually started selling. I've looked, and they're selling them at 98.
Really?
You just go to 9800 Savage Road, Fort Meade, Maryland 20755. Turn left at the VCP1 control gate, and past the memorial for all the Clash planes. Go to the Cryptographic Museum, and they're selling them right there. So you can actually get one now.
All right, Nathan. So you like TJ? What else? Go ahead.
Yeah, well, I think a TJ the Spy geek site or Facebook page or something would be great. I actually searched TJ the Spy on Facebook.
He is not on Facebook.
I am not on Facebook because,
as any self-respecting spy would not be on Facebook. Right? Thanks, Nathan, for your call tonight. But I'm sure he appreciates the suggestion and the appreciation. So maybe we'll figure out some way for you to get the word out. This is really your first kind of foray into broadcast.
Yeah, I've usually eschewed the limelight because, again, as a spy, one of your powers comes nobody knows what you're really up to. Like if I were to walk into City Hall and say, hey, I want a job as a parking enforcer, they don't know that I'm not a statist. So I could pretend to be like them and get into their holds. Well, not now because I've been on your show, but that's one of your powers. You kind of you get very uncomfortable in the limelight. You're supposed to be quiet, like boring. They always stress be very boring. Don't attract attention. That's drilled into you from day one when you start work.
So a little bit more here from the Foundation for Economic Education. We were looking at how what small percentage of Bitcoin transactions are used on criminal kind of websites. Very, very small amount. 0.03% of Bitcoin transactions were done on the Silk Road for a couple of years there. And here's a little bit more. What is Bitcoin being used for? Well, he goes through a laundry list of all kinds of products and services that are legal that are being purchased with Bitcoin. And then he points out that it's not basically for criminals. It's barely for criminals. In fact, it resembles ordinary cash, that is, Federal Reserve notes. As a matter of fact, the case is probably stronger for eliminating cash than Bitcoin. Harvard economist Ken Rojoff has claimed that more than half of all cash in circulation is used to hide transactions from tax or law enforcement authorities. More formal estimates by Edgar Fage suggest roughly 48% of cash held by the public is employed in the domestic underground economy. So cash far more likely than Bitcoin to be used for so-called illegal purposes. We will be back tomorrow night. You can join us online between now and then. In the meantime, it is Free Talk Live.
If you're David, a few well-chosen words can help level the playing field with Goliath. I'm Holland Cook from survivalspeech.com. Recently, I saw a Yellow Pages ad for an appliance repair company, and the headline read, "Why wait for Sears?" If you're going to the Yellow Pages, the Dead Sea Scrolls of advertising, you're ready to buy right now. So this is an attention-grabbing message. And how about the plumber whose radio ad says, "Call by noon Thursday, and we'll be there Saturday at no extra cost"? Smart guy. Most plumbing firms give their crew the weekend off. This one gives them Sunday and Monday off. In the words of a respected advertising executive, cut to the chase, make it quick, and tell me exactly what you can do for me, especially if you're looking for work. For more tips on critical communication skills for the way things are now, hit survivalspeech.com. I'm Holland Cook.
There comes a time when you need custom embroidered or screen printed apparel for your business, organization, or a special event. Corporate Casuals has been helping people create great looking logoed apparel for over 25 years. They can produce a single piece or thousands using name brand apparel like Nike, Patagonia, Adidas, and Hanes. Create your logo in their online embroidery design studio or upload your existing logo and they'll turn it into embroidery. Go to corporatecasuals.com/FTL and include FTL in the order notes and save 5% on your order.
If you want to know the latest about Free Talk Live before we go on the air, all you need to decide is how you want it delivered. It's your choice. Visit news.freetalklive.com. You can get emailed announcements and participate in contests via our email updates list. Plus, we have a Twitter account that you can follow and a Facebook page where you can become a fan. So visit news.freetalklive.com to get news about Free Talk Live as soon as it's announced and the way you want it delivered at news.freetalklive.com. That's news.freetalklive.com.
This is the Liberty Radio Network, broadcasting the latest liberty-oriented audio content 24 hours a day at LRN.FM.
From Keene, the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Friday, November 20th, 2015. Silver is trading at $14.29 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,083 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $323.